Welcome to another episode of the Victory Podcast. I'm your host, Keely Eure, joined by my co-host and former USC quarterback, Cody Kessler. Cody, we are back. I hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July. I've deduced, though, Cody, that you and I both had a kind of boring holiday, if you will.
It was. I got all my 4th of Julys out when I was younger. Now I just had a great time. Me and my wife and our dog. We did go to the beach that week. Went down, had a little walk down in Huntington. But yeah, we were lazy on 4th of July. We sat at home and watched the fireworks from our couch. So
yeah,
nothing too crazy in the Kessler household.
Yeah, same. Does it seem we're both old? We're washed at this point?
we're getting up there.
Okay.
We were on the couch, probably comfortable by like 8 or 9 p.m.
Yeah.
You're getting older too when the fireworks are going off, and we enjoy them. We have fun, but when it kept going later and later, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to go to sleep.
These hooligans.
I used to be out till the way late. Early into the morning on 4th of July, but now, when the fireworks are going off too late, I'm getting a little grumpy now. So
yeah, no, that makes sense.
I'm not trying to age myself in you, but
we're old.
Yeah, we're getting old.
We can accept it. It's fine. It's funny though, because 4th of July to me is like the official ending of summer, in my opinion. Like it's kind of where after the holiday, we come back to work, and I kind of set my sights on the upcoming season and fall camp, which is just 3 weeks away at the point of recording this, which is crazy, which makes sense why we are doing the topic we are doing for today's episode. It's a fall camp preview episode. We're going to preview USC's offense today, break that down, and then do USC's defense next week. And Cody, I believe it's easier to preview the offense. We know much more coming into this episode rather than the defense.
Yeah, and just myself personally being a former quarterback, I would always, even when I was playing, break down our offense, look at our roster. What guys, especially as a starter, what guys do I want to bring along this fall? Obviously, you want to help all the younger guys, get up to speed, but what guys do I need to spend a little extra work with here and there? For me, so it's just like when I was playing. Now I can go back and look at the roster and look at film from last year, some of the freshmen. And there's a lot more returning starters, in my opinion, that have solidified spots on the offensive side of the ball. So it's a little bit easier this time around, and I'm more familiar with the team, my second year of doing this. But defense is, in my opinion, going to be a challenge. It's going to be tough to predict starters, first of all, and then second of all, and it's exciting too, though, because there's going to be a ton of position battles on the defensive side of the football. But second of all, there's so many new faces on defense.
It looks
not
so
a lot of guys. Not a lot of guys solidified spots last year. So I'm getting a little ahead. That'll be next week. But yeah, this week offense, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I had a blast doing my prep and kind of looking into not only the starters, but deep down the roster on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, we'll probably sound much more confident this episode than next episode. Next episode is going to be like, well, we think this, but we'll see after camp. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But before we jump into it, just a couple of reminders. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to go above and beyond, you can leave a review on your podcasting app. It helps grow the show. We greatly appreciate everyone who's done that so far. I believe we're over 200 reviews at this point. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
And then also, if you want to get your voice heard, be sure to look out for a tweet or a question box either on Twitter or Instagram. Our socials are Victory Pod USC. We're not on Threads yet. I asked Cody before recording, are you on Threads? And he didn't even know what I was talking about.
I have no idea what that is.
So maybe TBD on whether or not we're going to join Threads. We'll see how it plays out, I guess.
You got to teach me what it is first. You still didn't answer my question off camera. We were
once again proving how old we are.
Well,
but yes,
I'll figure it out.
Okay. And then one last thing, we have to announce our giveaway winner from last week's emoji entry and announce a new set of emojis. And if you listen to the last episode, we were doing a trial video podcast. It was just getting some more practice. We're doing another one for today's episode. It might go live. We're not sure. Cody and I are still trying to get the swing down of how to, know that people are watching us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm a very animated talker, so I'm now put in a frame, so I've got to understand I can't move around and do a whole lot, which I probably still will. So I apologize in advance. But yeah, either way, if this one doesn't go live very soon, we'll be able to have video and audio, and we're still getting in the swing of it. I mean, I've for the first time ever started podcasting last year. And now Keely's throwing a whole new thing in the works.
How far you've come.
Put me on camera as well. But yeah, no, it's a blast. I'm having so much fun. It'll be cool for our viewers at home if you're not in the car listening, you can go home, watch on YouTube, and be able to see us and how kind of everything works behind the scenes.
You can see how much Cody and I just flail our arms this whole time.
Yeah.
So if you want to tune into that, we'll make sure to let it be known when we are live and running with both video and audio. Alrighty, Cody, let's jump into it. Fall camp preview offense. What better position group to start with than quarterbacks? I think that's the most quote-unquote known. I'm just going to run through the players in this position group. Caleb Williams, I think everyone has heard of him. Miller Moss, Malachi Nelson, and Jake Jensen. So in this grouping, no one knew necessarily. We did get used to seeing Malachi Nelson last spring, but I was just wondering your overall take from those 4 guys on the roster.
Yeah, obviously, Caleb Williams is going to be the starter there. There's no question when it comes to who's QB1 of this offense. But for me, I don't want to breeze by it real quick. Just going into Caleb and what he is expected not only of himself, but from, I guess, the rest of the country this year. Returning Heisman Trophy winner, in my opinion, probably the favorite to go back-to-back. But, his goals are going to be mainly national championship, right? Winning football games this year. I know the stats and the accolades and all that are important, but at the end of the day, I know he feels like there's some unfinished business. And, it's no secret this most likely will be his last year before he goes on to the NFL. So what better way for him to go out with the national championship? But, yeah, I mean, watching him this fall camp, I would love to see him and, whatever his self-scout may be, in my opinion, is some of the things he can do a little bit better, getting rid of the football. And I don't want to take away his play-making ability, but eliminate some of those hits. If the play's not there, be okay with throwing it away or not taking a sack, but going down if necessary. We got to keep him healthy. Want him to be, full go all year long. But, yeah, like he said, the 60 touchdowns, no interceptions, all of that starts right now. That preparation is starting in the offseason, but the main point of that is going to be in fall camp, trying things at work, trying some new things that maybe didn't last year that he would like to explore a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, take some risks in fall camp. But, yeah, then he's going to be QB1. We're excited to see that, and I can't wait to see how he prepares this offseason with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder from last year. And then this is where it gets interesting for me is QB2. In my opinion, if it was today was the roster was coming out, we had to pick a guy. Miller Moss is obviously the favorite. He's been there before. Yeah. He has a full year under his belt last year in Coach Riley's offense. Played well in the spring. Did some things well when he came in last year. But that's just right now. There's a whole fall camp ahead of us with Malachi Nelson being able to come in and compete. I think in a perfect world for Lincoln Riley, it would be obviously Caleb 1, Miller 2, and Malachi have a year to still learn the offense, to watch Caleb, to learn from Miller on the sidelines as well. How to be a college quarterback. There's really no rush to get him on the field right now, so a perfect world would be a red shirt for him being able to learn. But that's not to say that he's not coming in competing for that number 2 spot, and he could win it. Who knows? He can come in and push Miller and win that spot. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch. And then you have Jake as well. Don't want to say he's a forgotten guy, but he's kind of the new face is coming in with these 3 guys that have been here for a while. So, yeah, I think the quarterback room is in great hands. Obviously we want Caleb to stay healthy all year long. Nothing happened, but if it were to come down to Miller or Malachi having to play, I have great confidence in them. I think they're 2 very good quarterbacks, Miller and Malachi, both guys that could probably start somewhere else in the country at this point in time, if you put them on some other rosters. So, yeah, I think the quarterback room is in great hands. I'm very excited to watch that backup battle, too. It reminds me of myself with Max Wittick back in the day, having to go back and forth is Matt was the guy. So that storyline was kind of over. And all camp, it felt like every single day there was an article about who has the edge on QB2 this day, or Cody did this and Max did that. So it'll have done it before. It'll be a lot of fun to watch that quarterback battle for the backup spot.
Now, you said when talking about Caleb Williams, you want him to take a couple of risks in camp and fall camp. What does that actually look like? Like, what does that mean? Yeah, and it's not necessarily risks to where you're building bad habits, but try to get some, like with Zechariah Branch, with Makai Lemon, with Dorian Singer, some of the young guys, take some risks, give them some 50-50 balls, maybe give them a 2-on-1, see what guy can come down with it. Don't put too much stress on the stats of I don't want to throw a pick today. Now's the time to be able to see what your guys can do. With Deuce Robinson coming in as well, with Lake McCree, let's push them a little bit, give them some opportunities that maybe that's a risky throw in a game you won't make, but let's give them some of those opportunities in practice now. And I don't want to say it doesn't count, but obviously there's no stats, there's no wins and losses in practice. Let's give some of those guys opportunity now, take some risk with some of these throws and see which guys can make plays and which guys can come down with the football for you. Now, we got a ton of questions. I meant to mention this at the top. We have so many questions.
We did, yeah. We got a lot.
So much so that I'm actually going to sprinkle them in per position group. That way we don't have like an hour just question segment. And you actually mentioned Caleb Williams' lofty goals coming into this next season. Talking about I think he said it in a GQ article. Not exactly sure, but he said it in an article what his goals are for next season. And he said he wanted 60 touchdowns, 5,000 yards passing, and no interceptions. And Fighting on MC said, I know Caleb is striving to break his touchdown record from last year. How hard will that be?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult. Obviously, that is a very high bar to set.
42 touchdowns last year, just in case.
Yeah, and I'm going towards but 60 is possible. It absolutely can be done. I think Joe Burrow did it a couple years ago. I think 2019, Joe Burrow threw for over 60 touchdowns.
It was an insane team.
Yeah,
though.
which is an insane team. But at the same time, I really believe that Caleb has every opportunity, every star on this roster, from wide receiver to running back, just the depth that we have. The offensive line is starting to come together now, too, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But, yeah, I absolutely see Caleb being able to attain that goal. Now, is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? We'll see. Time will tell. The no interception ones will be huge, but who's to say he can't? He did it for a while last year. He did a great job protecting the football. I don't think he threw his first pick until midway to almost towards the second half of the season, I think. Don't quote me exactly, but somewhere around there. But, yeah, I mean, why not set the bar that high? When you had such a great season last year, the only way to go is up, right? Let's excel. Let's take it to the next step. And for him just wanting to do that just shows his work ethic, his dedication, and what he believes, or how much he believes in himself, that he can take it to the next step even after winning a Heisman Trophy.
Pluto had an interesting question. He said, this offense depends on number 13. How does the coaching staff let Caleb cook while still protecting our most important player?
That's a great question. I love the Caleb Cook. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, obviously you want to protect yourself as a quarterback. You want to be smart. You don't want to put too much on his shoulders, especially in the run game with some of those zone read RPOs. You want to be able to still be efficient in that aspect of it, but still, like you said, protect Caleb Williams. But you can't handcuff the guy. You can't be in a mindset of where you're playing scared. And I don't like saying the word scared, but you're worried. You don't want him to get hurt, right? You don't want to.
Timid.
Yeah, play timid. Let him go. Let him play. Let him be himself. That's what makes him such a great player, is he knows how to play within himself, and he also knows when to take those chances, when to get down, when to slide. Obviously, even the Utah game last year, when he got hurt, it was him trying to slide or go down. It was just a weird way of him going down on the turf. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can really put Caleb in a box. You got to let him be able to be that Heisman Trophy winner that he was, to be the number one quarterback in the country, which he is, and to use all of his playmaking abilities to his advantage. But yes, you want to be smart. And in my opinion, being smart is, if we've got a convincing lead, let's get him out. If we've got a lead and it's not time to take him out yet, but let's rely heavy on the run game. Let's let Austin Jones, Marshawn Lloyd, Darwin Barlow, Rayleigh Brown, let's let those guys carry the bulk of the load in the second half if we have a convincing lead, and let's be smart about it and think, long run with this football team, which is absolutely potential for them to go. And I'm getting ahead, but Pac-12 championship, college football playoff. Let's not try to pad the stats or anything like that, which Lincoln doesn't do. But yeah, I mean, I think protecting him would be more so relying on the run game heavier in the second half.
It's kind of counterintuitive, because would you say that the one of the biggest learning lessons from last season is learning how to, both for as an offense and as Caleb personally, to almost protect yourself more, use yourself less in those situations.
Yeah, it's a tough line. You're flirting with the protect yourself more, but you also, like I said, you don't want to take away his ability and make
Caleb
him play.
Caleb.
Exactly, make him play cautious because we're worried about getting hurt. And I know Caleb, in his mind, obviously, yes, there's a next step after this. There's playing in the NFL. There's having a long, successful career. But I don't think, when you're in the middle of a game, especially myself when I was playing, you're not thinking, hey, let me protect myself here. You're going all out. You're doing whatever it takes to win a football game. You've just got to have those reminders in practice. And that was one of the notes that I had for him doing his self-scout, is let's eliminate some of those unnecessary hits. I love when he runs around the field, makes guys miss, finds a guy in the end zone. Against Tulane as well, that play to Brendan Rice on the left sideline. He ran, I think, 3 times back and forth. But if it's not there, let's not take a hit. Let's throw it away. Let's go down if we need to, and let's eliminate some of those unnecessary hits we had last year.
Now, Rama asked the question that I think everyone's wondering: can Caleb repeat as the Heisman winner?
Short answer, yes. I mean, I absolutely think so. He's got a great – obviously, we lost Jordan Addison, Travis Dye, 2 guys that are going to hurt significantly on the offensive side of the football. But the wide receiver room, and as a quarterback, you're only as good as the weapons you have around you, right?
Yeah.
Most importantly, offensive line. We've got a lot of great returning starters on the offensive side of the ball. You've got 3 guys that played significant amount of time at the receiver position with Taj Washington, Brendan Rice, Mario Williams. Now you've added some other guys to that roster as well and add some great depth. Rayleigh Brown playing running back and receiver, moving around a little bit. So, yeah, all the pieces are in place for him to do it again. It's just whether he can go out and it's going to be tough, though. It is tough to win a Heisman Trophy. And the House of Victory thing we did the other day was talking to Leinart was there, but Carson Palmer and Caleb, and talking to Carson, how tough is it to win a Heisman and then come back and have all those expectations, you know, or Matt was the same way. Liner, I've talked to him before about it, is it's difficult. You know, everyone expects you since you won the Heisman, why not go win it again? But you've got to block all that noise out. And if it happens, it happens. But I know Caleb's main goal this year is going to be college football playoff and beyond.
Yeah. I mean, one of the questions we had about Caleb coming in was, can he block the noise out from transferring from Oklahoma, whatever? That obviously was taken care of. Yeah. So I feel like if there's anyone to kind of handle the quote unquote noise from the outside, it seems like Caleb has already proved himself in that sense. I have one more question before we go into running backs. Not sure if you had anything else to add, but is it weird that I don't think it's going to be a real back and forth between backup quarterback, that competition?
No.
In my mind, I think Miller has it pretty much locked down.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I fully agree. And that's why I said in a perfect world, Miller's number 2 and Malachi has time to redshirt, to learn this year. Let's not waste a year. And even if he was backup and didn't play, you can still claim that he was a redshirt. But yeah, I agree with you. No, I think it's Miller's job to lose. I think he has absolutely is far ahead in the race right now. But I don't want to count Malachi out completely.
Yeah.
But I say that too. Most importantly for him is you can't go in there. You can't go in there thinking that I'm going to redshirt this year. I'm going to be the third.
Fair.
Although that may be the truth and the writing on the wall, you still have to go in and think, hey, I'm going to compete for that backup spot. I'm going to do everything possible to push Miller. And even both Miller and Malachi need to have that mindset of, I'm competing against Caleb. Because if something happens or something goes wrong or anything, knock on wood, but you're one play away in football in any position to being out there and becoming a starter and having to play. So both Miller and Malachi need to treat it as, hey, I'm competing, yes, for a backup spot, but I've also got to get my mindset ready to be QB1 one day.
Yeah, and to be clear, that's not a knock on Malachi
no,
from
not
me.
At all.
It's more a testament to how much a D1 quarterback, especially in a Lincoln Riley offense, has to have in their mind. And being a true freshman coming in to do that is a big leap to make. So that was more where my thought process was.
And agreeing with you on that is it's going to benefit Malachi more, in my opinion, to know he has that redshirt year, to know that even the stress of sometimes being QB2 and they, watching a game, Caleb may get up a little slow. You don't know if you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Get a little nervous before games. For him to be fully comfortable and knowing that, hey, okay, I've got this year to learn. I'm still going to treat it as if I'm the starter, keep that same mindset, but I have the comfortability level where there's no pressure on me to go play and perform right away. I agree with what you said. I think that gives him a lot more opportunities to grow and learn instead of having to be forced into a QB2 spot and being one play away.
Alrighty, well, let's move into running backs. So listing them off, Austin Jones returns for his 6th and final year. Marshawn Lloyd had his first first spring as a Trojan this past spring. Darwin Barlow, Raleigh Brown, who is a question mark, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. Quinton, Joyner, and Amarion Peterson, 2 true freshmen who came in this spring. So it's a full room once again, Cody, but you are, of course, missing Travis Dye from last season.
Yeah, that one hurts. A fan favorite, a Kessler household favorite. Big fan of Travis Dye, especially getting to do the when we did the Pro Day episode with him. Such an awesome guy, stand-up guy, just someone one of those guys you love leading your football program, being the face of your team. Obviously, you have Caleb and some of the other guys, but yeah, Travis is one of my favorites. But then going into this year, now Austin Jones, who got to play with Travis last year, got to learn from Travis, who became the starter when Travis went down. I have full confidence in Austin. I think he's going to do some great things this year, especially going into a season knowing you're the number one guy. Or even your job to lose. I know they're going to compete. Marshawn Lloyd's not going to back down. Darwin Barlow, Raleigh Brown are guys that are going to push them. The freshmen are they're in the waiting as well. But in my opinion, Austin Jones is going to start out fall camp as the one, and it's his job to lose. And as running back, it's not as much so as quarterback to where there's one guy in the field, right? There's going to be rotational things. There's going to be different packages. So we're going to see probably everybody play this year. But yeah, in my opinion, Austin Jones is going to be the starter. He's another guy that was on the team last year. He's going to have something to prove, but now he's going to have a full season of being that guy. But with that being said, let's not forget about Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about, Darwin Barlow, obviously not a ton of playing time last year, but came in, played well in the UCLA game. I know he obviously has a little bit of chip on his shoulder, wants to show what he can do and prove to not only Lincoln Riley, but his teammates in this offense that he can be a high-level college player. But yeah, I'm not jumping too far ahead, but Marshawn Lloyd in the spring, I mean, you saw him. I mean, off of one play alone, I was already sold, and he obviously did a good job throughout the rest of the game. The younger guys, too, the 2 freshmen played well. But yeah, in my opinion, overall, that's kind of giving a full breakdown. But Austin Jones should be the guy to start off fall camp. Not saying he'll finish with the job, but it's his job to lose, in my opinion.
I'm just going to start with questions because Corazon had an interesting one. He actually has 3. So the first one is basically wondering, how do you think Austin Jones and Marshawn Lloyd will be used? And he wanted to know, do you think it will be like how Austin Jones and Travis Dye were used last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously Marshawn Lloyd's a different running back than Travis Dye. Austin Jones is going to be here again, so he'll probably have a similar role to what we saw when Travis went down the second half of the season. I think Marshawn Lloyd will be used. I don't know. It's tough to say. Yeah. I don't want to say he's a third down back, but we saw his pass catching ability in the spring game. That was that play. He caught the ball to the right, cut back, made a couple guys miss. Yeah. But he's also a first and second down back. They're both kind of similar backs, right? They can both play on first and second down. And they both can go in there on third and short and be powerful guys who can pick up a first down. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think they're both going to be used a significant amount. I think if you look at the stats at the end of the year, and again, this is way too early predictions if you want to call them, I think they're going to be around 50-50 when it comes to playing time. Now, if one guy starts picking up a little bit more and gets in a rhythm, we may see them a little bit more throughout the season. Yeah. But I think starting off early, we're going to see a fair share of both Marshawn and Austin.
Corazon also wanted to know, do you think Darwin Barlow will be getting more field time? He's a great back too. Would love to see him more. And I feel like he took some steps and progress this past spring.
Yeah, I hope so. I think he absolutely deserves it. I mean, the UCLA game was awesome. You want to have, when you have your starter, obviously Travis out, Austin in, rotating guys. Ray Leak had a couple big plays, and then Darwin got a series there and had 2 big runs. And I think he finished in the end zone that game, right, too, on the third carry he got. So, yeah, I would absolutely love to see that, but that's a good problem to have, too, as an offense when, the I want to say top 2 guys, but your main guys right now going forward with Austin Jones and Marshawn Lloyd, and then, by the way, you've got a Darwin Barlow and a Raleek Brown, and then these 2 other freshmen coming in. So, yeah, short answer, would love to see Darwin get some more reps this season, but, that's going to have to come from him competing in fall camp and proving himself to this coaching staff.
In terms of Quinton Joyner and Amarion Peterson, they both had some pop in the spring game, which is nice to kind of have your moments.
How exciting was that, too? I'm
in front of it.
I'm giddy about it. I can't wait for these guys. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was going to ask, do you think they're further along than what we anticipated coming in?
Yeah, it was awesome to see both Quinton and Amarion. I mean, Quinton had that huge run, couple big plays. Amarion had, I think, that hurdle play for a touchdown, finish in the end zone or just short. Just exciting to see a glimpse of the future, with those 2 running backs. I think, too, I don't want to say for sure because it's so early, but I think, again, in a perfect world, especially with the guys that we have now, probably both redshirt this year. If they do get some playing time, I think it may be because of, again, knock on wood, an injury or some issues going on, maybe someone not performing well or like I said, someone having to sit out. But overall, I think it would be more positive for them to be able to sit this year and learn. Not to say they're not going to come in and compete. Who knows? One of them may go out and have a great fall and carry off where they did in the spring and be able to play, or both of them. Who knows? But I think in a perfect world, they both redshirt, have that year to learn, unless something happens, they have to come in and play. But at the end of the day, that's why they pay Lincoln the big bucks. That's not my decision. But I do know when you have a heavy roster, a lot of depth at one position that we do at running back. And who knows, Ray Leak may play a lot more receiver this year too, so one of these guys may have to step up. But when you do have a solid 1, 2, and 3, it's more beneficial for those freshmen to be able to redshirt, to learn and save a year and then be able to come compete the next year. So we'll see. Either way, I think the future is very bright at that running back position. I'm excited to watch both of those guys develop as they go on in their career.
Yeah, I mean, Lincoln mentioned in spring that Quinton had a play of practice almost every day in spring camp. And when a head coach says that and makes that public, it makes you think like, okay, what are we going to see from fall camp? What is that going to translate to once they actually get into the big lights of a game-like situation?
Yeah, and fall camp is nowhere near spring ball. Fall camp is a lot more difficult. It's a lot tougher. There's a lot more involved day in and day out. It's a lot, and the hardest part is not only the physical side of it, but the mental side of it. To be locked in day in and day out. I mean, you're waking up at 5:30 and you're not getting back to the dorm or hotel, wherever they're staying, until almost 11 p.m. midnight. So yeah, that's gonna be, and that's something as a freshman you have to learn. But fortunate for both of them, they were here in the spring, and to hear your head coach say that gives you a ton of confidence. But also to get a spring game in. Playing, it's not obviously a real game, but you're playing in front of a live crowd. You're playing full go. We had some live reps there. The guys both got in and got some opportunities. That's going to make fall camp a lot easier for them in the sense of, okay, I've got a spring under my belt. I know what to expect, and it's not day one for me having to learn everything on the fly.
Yeah. Now, we have many questions about Raleek Brown, obviously. So the thing I want to mention, though, what was interesting is we found out from Lincoln at the end of spring, he said that they used Raleek Brown in perimeter perimeter work.
Leave that in.
They used him more in perimeter work solely because he got injured during spring. There was, if you remember back, although it feels like forever ago, in the middle of spring, he was actually out for a couple practices, and that was because he did get hurt. So he said they used him in perimeter work more than they anticipated. So it makes me wonder if our idea of how they're going to use Raleek Brown is skewed because of that injury, or if that's actually how they want to use him going forward. But everyone wanted to know, where is Raleek going to be in fall? And William had an interesting question. He said, what are the pros and cons for having an undefined role in the team?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question.
Answer it, Cody.
My guess is as good as everybody listening. I don't know if he's going to be a running back, if he's going to play slot receiver. In my opinion, though, and I think I said this in the spring, one of the spring episodes, he's probably going to be more like an Adoree Jackson type on the offensive side of the ball, have some very unique formations for him, find ways to get the ball in his hands, whether it's, Adoree in the Holiday Bowl. He came in at running back, had a little flat route and took it for 70+, and then a couple plays where he's in slot and let him use his speed and run by a couple guys. And then Notre Dame moved around from receiver to running back, did a lot of different things that's so difficult for a defense when you don't know, is this guy running back? Is he a receiver? And we've seen Lincoln with how well he mismatches formations, mixes up personnel groupings, which is unbelievable as a quarterback. Gets me excited to watch. But now you have a guy who can play running back, we know can excel at running back, but now he's gotten some reps at receiver perimeter positions, so now we can kick out some screens to him, get the ball in his hands, create these different mismatches all over the field. But, yeah, again, short answer, I have no idea. I don't know if you want to put running back / wide receiver if you want, or the recruiting, how they put just ATH. He's an athlete that can play anywhere. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but that's someone that we'll definitely have a close eye on throughout fall camp, and I'm sure a lot of Trojan fans will as well.
We mentioned how the true freshman did pretty well in spring. Do you think that also determines what we see from Raleek? Like, if they're ahead of schedule, does that mean, hey, we have a embarrassment of riches? Do we put Raleek more on the outside?
Yeah, and not only the freshman, but Marshawn Lloyd, how well he played in spring as well, knowing that you have a solid 1-2 punch right now with Austin and Marshawn. And then if you want to throw Raleek in there too, he could be a part of that 1-2 punch. I'm not saying it's going to be just Austin and Marshawn, but then, like you said, you have the freshman with Quinton and Amarion coming in and playing well. Again, perfect world. They don't have to see the field this year, but if they need to, they're both capable of it. Still a lot to learn. Obviously, spring's a lot different than fall. But, yeah, it does give Coach Riley a little bit more comfortability at the depth at running back position when you have your freshman performing and the transfer Marshawn Lloyd coming in performing at that level to where you have some freedom to move Raleek Brown around a little bit. Raleek Brown around. But yeah, no, it'll be exciting. I'm like I said, I'm going to keep my eyes closely on Raleek, see what he does. But no matter what, we've got to find ways to get him the football and get him on the field. He's just too explosive.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. Any other tidbits or thoughts on running backs before we move on to wide receivers?
No fullbacks in this offense, so it's just RBs.
No Soma Vanukus?
Yeah, no Somas. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, shout out Soma if you're watching that. I'm one of the coolest guys ever to play with. He was. That was like towards the end of the fullback era. I know some teams, Big Ten, we're going to see some fullbacks, especially Michigan and some of those power running offenses. But yeah, that was kind of the end of the college football fullback world. So shout out Soma if you're listening. Love you, brother. Hope you're doing well.
Okay, let's move on to wide receivers. Now, to make sure that you are able to breathe in between, saying things, I'm just going to say a player name and maybe you can add some thoughts and then we can go from there.
Cool.
So first up, Mario Williams. Your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna completely contradict what you just said. No, I won't yet. Well, I was gonna say starters because I kind of group Mario, Taj, and Brendan all together in that sense. But I'll go one by one.
You go for it. Whatever you want to do.
Overview: Mario, Taj, and Brendan, in my opinion, are the starters. Well, the way I did this breakdown was by starter and then backups for guys who have a chance to compete. But Mario, in my opinion, Caleb's number one guy. Maybe the stats didn't show it fully last year with I think Jordan was the number one guy. Taj Washington, not the forgotten man. He was a couple times last year, but he was actually stats-wise our number 2 receiver last year. He had to step up big. But, yeah, overall, I think Mario is Caleb's, kind of comfort blanket. It gives him that knowing that I've played with him in Oklahoma. Now I played with him at USC for a year. They're going into their 3rd year together. Someone he knows where he's going to be at all times on the field. It's one of the, we call them eyes closed guys. I can close my eyes and know where he's going to be at all times. And then, I think for him, too, last year, not a disappointment, but he had the injury, had some things. He probably didn't put up the numbers and have the impact that he wanted to have himself. So I feel like he's going to be very hungry this year to come out and prove himself and show that he can be one of the top wide receivers in the country.
Now, Ryder had a question. Who are your top 4 wide receiver and who is your first off the bench? So obviously the 3 you just listed.
So 3 starters and then first rotational guy?
3 or 4, depending on what you want to do. But Mario Williams, Taj Washington, and Brendan Rice for you?
Yeah, I think, off of spring alone and last year, obviously we haven't seen player run practices. Guys could be developing at a higher rate than expected, especially the freshmen and the transfer guys. But yeah, I'd say Mario, Taj, and Brendan would most likely they've earned it start off fall camp right now. If it was today and there was a game, those would be the 3 starters out there. And then I think the first 2 rotational guys going off of spring alone is Zechariah Branch and Dorian Singer. Now,
makes sense.
There's some other guys on that depth chart that still have a chance to compete, but if those are the 5, I think, starting today, if there was a game, would be get the most action in rotation.
Okay, I'm just going to list through all the wide receivers. Let's just contradict me completely.
Yeah.
Mario Williams, Taj Washington, Brendan Rice, Zechariah Branch, Dorian Singer, Michael Jackson III, Makai Lemon, and then Jacoby Lane, who's actually a fall enrollee, so he's joining the team this fall.
And Kyron Hudson.
Oh, yes, sorry, my bad. Kyron Hudson as well.
Yeah, those are – and there's going to be other guys, some freshmen, other guys coming in. There's some walk-on guys. I've got a soft heart for all the walk-ons, so we're not trying to leave anybody out. But, yeah, I mean, those are the guys that have either played or, in my opinion, are going to have an impact this year.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one that I'm most excited about, excluding the freshmen, obviously Zechariah Branch, number 1 player in the country at receiver for a reason, but Dorian Singer. And I know Trojan fans aren't going to like to hear this, but just off of the game against Arizona alone from last year.
His audition?
Yeah, he had 7 receptions, 140 yards, and 3 touchdowns. It's got to get you excited to be able to see that. And now we don't have to go against him anymore in the Pac-12. But, yeah, I think Dorian Singer is going to be not a huge question mark for me, but is he going to take a starting position? Is he going to compete and be well enough to take a starting spot this fall camp, or is he going to be a rotational guy? How's this going to work out?
Yeah.
Are we going to stick with the guys that we were comfortable with from last year starting out in week 0 with, like I said, Brendan, Taj, and Mario, and then the Zechariah Branch? He comes into play too. You saw the spring game. If that didn't get you excited about Branch and his future, I don't know what will. That was just awesome to see. A couple short routes, taking it and making some guys miss. A couple deep routes on the sideline as well. He did it all in the spring game, and kind of everything the coaching staff has been saying about him, his catch radius for not being a bigger guy, going from 0 to 60 so fast, his speed, just his quickness. We've got to see it on full display in the spring game. So those are 2 guys I'm excited about in the rotational side of things, and then obviously Michael Jackson, Kyron Hudson, guys that had an impact last year when we saw Jordan Addison go down, when we saw Mario Williams go down. And then you can't forget about the 2 freshmen. Makai Lemon, 5-star recruit for a reason, and Jacoby Lane adds another dimension to this offense, 6'4", 175, number 1 wide receiver coming out of Arizona, had 11 touchdowns in high school last year. So you just hear me talking about it right now. The depth is unbelievable. I don't know how you're going to get everybody on the field. I don't know how the rotation is going to work, but Lincoln Riley obviously specializes in that and creating formations and different personnel groupings. But, yeah, I think with receiver-wise, sky's the limit for this offense.
Now, let's put ourselves in the point of view of Zechariah Branch. If you're him and you had the spring that he had, what is your mindset this summer, and what is he going to look to do in fall camp?
Yeah, obviously, go back and watch spring. Let's break it down. Although it may have looked perfect in the spring game, or there were some great plays, he did have a drop here or there. He may have, and we don't know exactly if he has any missed assignments in the run game, if he maybe ran the wrong route a couple times.
Yeah, we don't know the details.
Exactly. So there is some self-scout to only having 15 practices in the spring. There is a chance to self-scout to watch that for him, especially as a freshman, because that's the only film he has as a college player. But yeah, go watch that, go see what worked well, what didn't work well, where can I improve, and now we implement that into fall camp. And now fall camp too is a lot more hands-on than spring ball. I mean, it's wake up, meetings, breakfast, walkthrough, workout, more meetings, then practice, and more it's just nonstop. So now the coaches, although they were hands-on in the spring, but now you're day in and day out really grinding, really figuring out what works well and what doesn't, and getting guys like Zechariah and Dorian ready to play right away.
Daniel wanted to know, how would you integrate Branch into the offense?
I mean, I think it's kind of the same as the Ray League thing. And who knows, he may come out and compete and earn a starting spot right away. It's not saying, and that's no knock on Mario, Taj, or Brendan. If he ends up winning a starting spot, that's just how good this receiver room is and the potential that he has. But I think it would start off with Lincoln as maybe some specialized plays for him. Get him in there, get used to, and against San Jose State to start off the season, get him a couple plays early on, or in the fall camp scrimmages. I know we have a couple of those. Get him some plays where it's not a lot of thinking involved, kind of like what I was saying with Ray Lee. Give him a screen pass out to the right, give him a swing pattern, give him one of those soft tosses we see the Chiefs do all the time with, when they had Tyreek Hill, when they had all those McCole Hardman, those type of plays that they would do that were so efficient. Let's get the ball in his hands, low thinking play, not having to run routes, read a concept, read defense, and let's let him get comfortable that way, and then he can start making a bigger impact in the offense as the season goes on.
Flash wanted to know, why doesn't Michael Jackson III get any love when top SC wide receivers are mentioned?
That's a great question.
I mean, he's kind of gone in and out of rotations. I was super impressed in the Utah game when he just performed immediately and his number was called, and he wasn't the number I was expecting, to be honest, but he just performed well. And so it's a great question by Flash.
Yeah, and the easy answer for that is it's a good reason, but just how deep we are at wide receiver. You know, it's like the quarterback thing. Miller Moss and Malachi. Malachi's a 5-star recruit, one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Miller is one of the top high-end backup quarterbacks in the country, but you don't hear a lot about them because of Caleb Williams. Same thing with Michael Jackson. You know, you've got Brendan Rice, who played well last year, Taj, Mario, and now you add Dorian and Zechariah, Makai, Jacoby. It's just tough to be a standout guy when you've got 5, 6, 7 guys that could be starters anywhere in the country. So, yeah, but I think I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson. I think he's going to get a lot of love this year. Hopefully he gets some more of those plays where he gets the ball in his hand quickly, like against Utah, where he can take it the distance. So he absolutely deserves to get some playing time this year, and hopefully he can make an impact.
Caleb wanted to know, who will be the breakout wide receiver this year? And I feel like the easy answer is Zechariah Branch, if that counts. But if we want to go a different route, I don't know if you do, Cody.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that's probably who it's going to be. It's tough to say breakout as Dorian Singer because I think he led the Pac-12 in receptions or yards or something. He was one of the top receivers in the Pac-12, so you can't really call it a breakout. Yeah. I guess for USC, his USC career could be a breakout year. But I think Mario Williams is going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to...
Does that count as a breakout?
Well, I think so, and this is my reasoning is... I don't want to say he's under the radar, but he's kind of been right about neutral, right? Last year, I know he had the injuries, but I think I want him to be spoken about this year like Jordan Addison was last year. Like Quinton Johnson, the guy who just got drafted to the Chargers from TCU, some of those big-name receivers, I want him to kind of take that turn and take that next step and be regarded as this guy's going to be a first-round pick, this guy's top 3, Blitnikoff Award finalist, all those things. That's my quote-unquote breakout for Mario this year. So that's probably who I would pick as Mario Williams, or someone that I would like to see take that next step and become a top 3 or 4 receiver in the entire country.
Now, Makai Lemon was injured for the majority of spring. What do you expect from him in fall? Is there an advantage to, at least mentally going through your first camp as a D1 athlete, or would you put him at the same kind of level as Jacoby Lane, who's coming in right now?
Yeah, and Makai had some injury issues in spring as well. So, yeah, I mean, that was, like you said, that's tough. But at the same time, you've got the mental reps down. Now, obviously, you have to be healthy to be on the field. Coaches will always tell you that. If you're in the training room, we can't have you on the field. We can't have you getting reps. So, obviously, most importantly is making sure his body's ready to go. But he had that time in the spring to really learn everything on the mental side of things. So there's really no excuse for him to step up and step in and compete like Zechariah did in the spring. Makai's one of the top receivers in the country for a reason coming out of high school.
So you're saying he is ahead of Jacoby Lane in that sense, even though there were no real reps?
Yes.
Okay.
Short answer, yes. Now, who knows? I was here when we had guys come in. I'm not going to say any names before, but some guys came in the spring early, and then you have a Marquise Lee come in the fall, and by day 3, turning heads. Guys are like,
fair.
And he came in as, we didn't know if he was going to be defense or offense, so that could be, Jacoby could come in and make plays right away, and you may think, hey, we've got a solid 3, 4, 5 guys, but, oh, by the way, we've got to find a way to get this guy some playing time like a Marquise Lee type. But, yeah, I would say Makai and Zechariah obviously are ahead of Jacoby right now. He's got to be able to learn the playbook, but on top of that, learn how to play at a D1 level college speed as well at the receiver position.
Now, I feel like entering into the fall, this time last season, we knew, who the number 1 target would be. We figured it would be Jordan Addison. I feel like we don't necessarily know right now. Is that a bad thing, or is that, to be cliche, like a window for more competition?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing in the sense of opposing defenses. They're not going to know who. Like last year, we saw games where they would try to take Jordan Addison out of the game, right? They'd try to play cloud over him. Oregon State, he caught that game-winning touchdown. But throughout the most of the game, they were playing cloud coverage on him, had a corner and a safety over top, trying to eliminate him from the offensive game plan. With this year, not having that Jordan Addison, that number 1 type guy, although we have 3 or 4 guys potentially could be a number 1 receiver, the defense isn't going to know where to start, right? We get man-to-man, you don't know who to help yet. Obviously, Brendan Rice, bigger physical guy, and if we're going off of the end of last year, he may be the guy starting out hey, let's get some help on there just because of his physicality. But overall, I mean, it's awesome. I think Coach Riley's excited about that. It's almost a blessing and a curse to not have a pure number one receiver. Yeah, you want that leader that's going to lead everybody and be the guy, in crunch time you can go to him. But then the positive of that is if you don't have a guy that's number one, you can spread the ball around as much as you want. Now that'll develop as the season goes on. And this is just me talking. Caleb in the back of his mind could have, hey, this is my go-to. This is second, third, fourth, all the way down, who I trust and who I'm comfortable with. But at the end of the day, yeah, I don't think there is a clear-cut one, and it'll be exciting to see them compete for that in fall camp.
Now I'm going to have a bridge between the wide receiver position group and the tight end position group. And if you know anything about USC football, I'm sure you're already knowing where I'm going with this. Deuce Robinson.
Yeah.
Where do we put him? Now, USC, when he was announced as a signee, put him as a receiver, which he could be a tight end. He could be a wide receiver. Where do you put him? I guess that's my question for you, Cody. Deuce Robinson, what do you do with him?
Yeah, that's a great question because and hearing, I guess, I think that was his decision, right? I think part of his commitment was I don't want to be a hand in the dirt, a tight end, which I don't think he would have been anyways.
Well, here's the thing,
but
his body type demands that you don't pigeonhole him.
Yeah, exactly. He's such a unique athlete to where you don't want to have. And in my opinion, I'm on board with the coaching staff. I'm not putting him at the end of the outside tackle, putting his hand in the ground, having to block some of these bigger guys that are rush edge. I'm finding ways to get him involved in the pass game. I'm finding ways to go in. I mean, he could even be a slot receiver this year for all we know. I mean, normally your prototypical slot guy is a Raleek Brown, that type of Taj Washington, someone that's a little bit shorter, quicker, can explode off the Michael Jackson, another guy that can get off the foot, Zechariah Branch. Those are your prototypical slot receivers, Tyreek Hill, guys like that. But now you have 6'6". But now you have a 6'6", 225-pound hybrid, tight end, whatever you want to call him, receiver.
Yeah.
Now you can throw him out there, and imagine a 5'9" nickel defender having to cover him in man-to-man, or having to bring a safety down and play man-to-man for a safety who's not used to covering guys with that athletic type. They're used to covering tight ends, things like that. I mean, exactly. And most importantly, what's the defense going to do?
Yeah, what do you do?
Is this base personnel? Is this going to be nickel defense? Are we going dime? Are we going to have to bring in an extra DB if we have all, three wides and Deuce out there? Like it's going to be a mismatch nightmare for opposing defenses. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, short answer, I think he's going to be a receiver. I think he's going to, and obviously they said that, but I just don't see him putting his hand in the dirt and going out there and pass blocking or run blocking on first and second downs.
Now, what's interesting though is does the tight end depth force USC's coaches' hands a little bit? Because there's really nothing to run through when we talk about USC's tight ends. It's Lake McCree, Deuce Robinson, if you want to put him in there, and then Carson Tabarachi, who was a linebacker turned tight end this spring because of the depth issues.
Because of the depth, exactly.
So is your hand forced a little bit as a coaching staff?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's tough. Well, first and foremost, let me say this. Lake McCree, I expect big things from him this year. We got to see a glimpse of what he can do last year, how explosive he is. The Notre Dame game, that play where he caught one down the sideline, hurdled a guy, jumped up, got the flex on him. That was awesome to see. And that just shows his confidence level building as well. And it's so funny, too, not to get too off topic, but looking at photos of them as freshmen, some of these guys, and then seeing the second-year guys will have beards now, getting Coach Wiley's weight program. You see them getting stronger, bigger. They don't look like freshmen anymore. They're taking that next step. But I think Lake McCree, the sky's the limit for him. He is going to be the true tight end one in this offense. He's going to be the guy that has his hand in the dirt, that can, obviously run block, pass block, but also get involved in the pass game as well. You know me, I'm a big fan of tight ends in the red zone. Just imagine Deuce Robinson, Lake McCree on the field at the same time, then Brendan Rice, Mario Williams as well. Just who do you cover? And then you have Marshawn Lloyd and Austin Jones if you want to power it, and then throw Raleek Brown in there too if you want to get a little swing pass or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's tough because, like you said, we would love an ideal world, more depth at tight end. But does that force Deuce, although he's a receiver, does that force him to have to play a little bit of tight end? And not to forget about Carson, too. I mean, he's been playing well.
Yeah.
Having to go from, playing the defensive side of the ball your whole life to going to play tight end. He looked well in the spring as well. But, I mean, it's tough. And, again, that's why Coach Riley's got to make those decisions. That's why his coaching staff has to decide where to put guys, what personnel groupings they're going to do. But for me, I mean, it's too early to say how that rotation is going to work.
Circling back on Lake McCree, I thought it was interesting because, sometimes when I write certain articles, you go back and you look at the full history of a Trojan since he got here. And Lake McCree was a guy who I didn't realize until I was writing this article how much his injury trajectory kind of impacted his growth overall. And so this has been the first, I think, full spring camp for him that he had this past spring camp as now that he's a junior, because he was injured for every single one. And so what do you expect from him in fall camp? I feel like now that he's actually, and he said it himself, he's been able to build on a full spring camp.
Yeah.
Now he can actually have growth in a good direction rather than, a little bit and then I'm injured and then a little bit, because that's what it's kind of been for him.
Yeah, it's so crazy too. It's going back to what I was saying, watching guys from freshmen, like we're talking about Lake being an upperclassman. Now
I know.
Caleb's an upperclassman, right? We were talking about him going from freshman to sophomore. Now he's, the junior. Now he's the older guy on campus, and now we get these younger guys filling in. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously you want to be healthy. You want to be on the field, although the ideal situation was injuries happen in the offseason. We can recover then. You are put a little bit behind the curve if you don't get a full spring involved, if you don't get to be out there for player-ran practices, if you don't get to be out there for the start of fall camp. Yeah, we want you ready for season. That's most important. But you lose a lot of reps and a lot of lessons that you can learn throughout fall camp, throughout spring, throughout summer, doing these other practices. So I think for him, I mean, the sky's the limit. I'm full in on Lake McCree. I'm on board. I'm on that train. I really hope that he comes out and performs well. I want him to be one of the better tight ends in the entire country. I think it's time, obviously, for him to get a little bit more involved in the pass game.
Yeah.
It's tough to say with what we just went over, the wide receiver depth, and then Deuce Robinson as well. It's tough to say that everybody's going to get love with the football. Everyone's going to get enough reps, but I would absolutely love to see Lake McCree have a bigger impact this year. And now that he's had a full offseason to prepare and get ready, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Now, this is the first position group I'm asking this, and it's solely because I remember Lincoln Riley talking about how when it came to the tight ends, he just wanted to see more production out of them, especially in the pass game. What do you hope to see from USC's tight ends in 2023?
Yeah, and real quick, let me give a shout out to all my tight ends. I have a lot of really good friends that are tight ends.
Yeah, you seem.
Well, yes, stats are important. You want to see more production there, but as a tight end, it's a dirty job. You get all the physicality of an offensive lineman. You got to put your hand in the dirt, block these 6'6", 300-pound Russians that can, bulldoze over you, and then you don't get as involved in the pass game. So it's tough. You get treated like an offensive lineman, but you don't get the rewards of a wide receiver, and you kind of play both. But yeah, I mean, I think statistically, yes, it's time to see the tight ends more involved. And Coach Riley's had some great tight ends over Mark Andrews played well when he was in Oklahoma. I mean, he's had a history of having tight ends produce at a high level, and I think it's time for Lake McCree and Deuce Robinson, if you want to put him in that category, to be those guys that step up and play well. And again, I think red zone is where we're going to see a lot of that third down. Let's get some mismatches on the field, some of those misdirection plays, the Notre Dame game to Lake. I mean, I would love to see and it's easy. It's a comfort level as a quarterback knowing, hey, I've got a big body, physical tight end. When it's third and got to have it, when it's down in the red zone, it's tight windows. I can put the ball up or force a throw a little bit more and know that he's going to use his physicality to go get the football. So, yeah, I would, the stats don't show up in the run game and the blocking, but I'd like to see a little bit more stats in the wide receiver game for the tight ends.
Makes sense. Now, last but not least, the big guys, offensive line. I don't know about you, Cody, but this is where I have the most question marks.
I've been dreading this one.
Really?
In a good way. In a good way.
How do you dread something in a good way?
Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
No, I wanted to
You know where I'm going with this, though, too.
Do I? Okay. Well, first off, we have to mention Emanuel Pragnon, who was
big pickup.
Big pickup at the end of April for USC from the transfer portal. He's a guard. He came from Wyoming. He was recruited by at least 20 D1 schools. So this was a big, obviously, pickup for USC, as we've said. Cody, let's at least hear your thoughts on him first before we get into the rest of the roster.
Yeah, I mean, he was first and foremost. I looked up the picture and we were laughing about this off camera or off before we recorded. He had the single bar face mask in the front. So for all my old time listeners, all my old school listeners out there, they mean business as an offensive line when they've got the single bar face mask going down the center. You don't see that a lot anymore, but overall, physicality wise, you look at him, he's very, very strong, dominant. I think he's 6'6", 320, 315 around there as a guard, which is that's a tackle. Characteristics there being that size and that especially the height wise being a tackle at that size. But for him to be able to play guard and being so big, physical, strong, and he moves well at that size, which is a must for a Lincoln Riley offense at the guard position. We see how much Coach Riley does the misdirections, the counter pulls. Your guard tackles are going to be moving a ton in this offense. But overall, highly recruited guy. A lot of schools wanted him, so that was a huge pickup for and especially with some of the guys that we didn't get this year at offensive line. That's just going to build some more depth for them, and I can't wait to see where Coach Riley uses him in this offense, and if he even has a chance to compete this year. Who knows? I mean, he can come in fighting for a guard spot right away.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you get someone out of the portal, you're at least expecting immediate, especially with the depth issues that USC has at O-line. It seems like he's going to get his fair shot.
Now, will he start with the ones on day one?
Fair.
Oh, well, who knows? I don't know. I don't want to predict too much. I don't think so, but I think he absolutely will start getting reps with the ones as we get through the first couple of practices.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's run down the guys. Justin Nedich, Mason Murphy, Jonah Monheim, Gino Quinones, Michael Tarquin, Jarrett Kingston, and Elijah Page. And then there's going to be some new faces on campus this fall for fall enrollees. Micah Benuelos, Amos Talalele. I don't know if we confirm that that's how you pronounce it, Cody.
Yeah.
We'll definitely make sure we get it once we get a chance to see him on campus. And then Alani Noah and Tobias Raymond. And so those freshmen in particular, when you are a young guy coming out of high school, you don't expect too much from those fall enrollee freshmen just because it's a big task to take on.
Yeah, it is. It's offensive line is outside of the quarterback position is the most complex position grouping in college football. Especially if you're playing center. That's why I love that Dedich has moved to center. But the play calls you've got to make, being able to read a defense, all the different things you have to do is very, very difficult, especially as a freshman to pick up right away. So definitely keep an eye on those guys, but I think they're still going to be a year or two away. But that's good for them to be able to learn from the older guys, to be able to get in there and maybe steal some reps here and there. And with fall camp, you never know. Injuries happen. Guys get tired. Not even injuries. Guys may need a day off. Guys' bodies, it's tough to go day in and day out. So they may get some opportunities with the ones or even the twos this fall camp. But, yeah, we'll keep an eye on those guys. But overall, starting offensive line-wise, I mean, I'm going off of the spring game alone. We had at left tackle Michael Tarquin. Left guard was Gino Quinones. Center was Justin Dedich. Right guard, Jarrett Kingston. And right tackle was Jonah Monheim. So, in my opinion, I think that's most realistic right now. If there was a game today, that would be the starting group. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I have no idea. You got Elijah Page coming in. 4-star recruit, big, strong, athletic player coming back in. Had some good production in the spring. Guy that I know the coaching staff is very excited about. One of my favorites, too, I just set him in the starting group, Jarrett Kingston, though, just from his interviews alone. Those were awesome to watch.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, then you got your leaders. You got Mason Murphy, Jonah Monheim, Gino Quinones, guys that have been here. Justin Dedich is obviously I don't want to say the face of that offensive line, but I guess technically that's what it is.
Yeah.
You could almost put him in the face of the program category up there with Caleb, too, being a starter and just how much he does for this football team. He's one of those guys that you love to play alongside. And then Michael Tarquin, obviously, coming in, had a great impact at Florida, now transferring to USC. In my opinion, he has to be on the field. But, yeah, I mean, if you had to today say, hey, we're playing a game, and, again, we're a long way away, but I would go with the spring offensive line that we had. Tarquin, Quinones, Dedich, Kingston, and Monheim. It just makes the most sense. But who knows? Pragnon's coming in. He could absolutely stir it up a little bit. We could see different guys move at different positions. Who knows?
Yeah.
But overall, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think that's going to be a position group that a lot of Trojan fans are going to keep a close eye on.
Two people I forgot to mention, apologies, are Cooper Lovelace and Andres DeWork.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, they're. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's getting better. And Cooper, I think, played a good amount in the spring game as well. I think he rotated center maybe, or guard, played a lot. I think he went in with the ones at one point too. Don't quote me on it. This was a while ago.
Wait, did I mention Cooper Lovelace? Yeah, so apologies.
Yeah. And that's on me too. But anyways, yeah, those are guys that there's going to be. Again, I think better depth issues from what we had last year, but we've also lost a couple guys in the transfer portal as well. So there's going to be some shoes to fill, but that's why Pragnon coming in, some of these other guys coming in as well, these incoming freshmen are going to have maybe not a significant role right away, but have a chance to compete. I'm
also just curious now that a year of Benny Wiley's program has now been in place. Like, how has that evolved? Because I don't know if you saw when Caleb Williams threw out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium and he brought his offensive linemen or some of them.
And they all got a jersey too.
Yeah,
that was sweet.
So cool.
Yeah.
Gino Quinones was there and he lost his neck. He has no neck. He's just like full muscle there. So.
Did you see what and I know we're not on defense yet. I think Eric said something about that. Gentry as well on Twitter. Did you see that?
Oh, he said, stop asking about my weight. I've gained like 20 pounds.
Yeah. So
again,
and we saw it in the spring too. Those guys getting with Coach Wiley for a full season. You could physically, when we went to that practice after Pro Day, you could physically see the size difference for some of those guys that were smaller, not as big a guys the year before. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're going to look like in the fall too. It's going to be awesome because you get a full summer when summer workouts start, yes, spring is important, but summer workouts are huge because you're preparing to play a football game. Guys are getting in football shape, getting their football bodies ready to go. So yeah, I'm excited to see when everybody comes out for that first practice what they're going to look like.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a whole segment dedicated to what do these people actually look like now that we've seen them in fall camp.
That's going back to the freshmen. Like I'm telling you, when you see a freshman come in, I love seeing those photos of freshmen, like your first day in the weight room as a freshman and then your last day in the weight room as a senior. We did those when I was here too.
Oh my gosh.
Just night and day. It's unbelievable. But
how different did you look?
Pause, not trying to hype myself up a little bit. Let's pause for a second, let me get on my soapbox. But I was coming out of high school, I was pretty big. I
forgot we talked about Jack Cody.
Remember the the basketball photos. So I didn't have too much catching up to do. Now because I was told I had to be big ready for college.
I like making you uncomfortable.
So I took it very serious. No, I don't get uncomfortable, but
the humble side of you gets uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I took the gym, weight room, all that very, very seriously prepping for USC. But then when I got here, the funny thing is it wasn't as much for a quarterback. Like I don't think I've done bicep curls. Obviously I do them now, but before like coming to USC, probably my senior year of high school was the last bicep curl I did until I got done playing in the NFL. Like you don't bench press.
Wow.
I didn't use a bar and bench. It's all dumbbells. Like it's a lot more pliability movement stuff as a quarterback when you get into those strength, a lot of core workouts, a lot of weighted ball stuff. But so I lost a little bit of size, honestly.
Oh, okay.
When I got here. Yeah, I was bigger, I think, when I came here. But yeah, it's going to be awesome to see some of these guys after they've gotten a full offseason now with Coach Wiley and his group.
Jorge and Jason had similar questions. Jorge said, in last year's losses, the front line didn't produce a first down when needed. Will the front line be consistent enough to produce a running game that can control the clock?
I hope so. They need to. I think, and obviously we had a solid run game last year, but this kind of goes back to being more dynamic on offense, maybe protecting Caleb a little bit more, especially with the depth we have now at running back position. I know that changed when Travis Dye got hurt, but I would love to see not a run-first offense because we'll never be that, but a team that can run the football on first and second down and put ourselves in third and short and then let Caleb pick it up with his legs or throw or just have first and second down runs and pick up a first down. Go 3 or 4 plays in a row, pick up a couple of first downs in the run game, and then get the defense to come up. Because I think starting out this year, rightfully so, teams are going to think pass-heavy offense, Lincoln Riley, air raid, returning Heisman Trophy winner. They're going to play back a lot, play a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 4. We're not going to see a ton of single high. So let's get the ground game going early on this season, make teams respect that, and then at that point we can pick up those third and medium, third and shorts, catch teams off guard and pick up a first down on the ground. And again, we're protecting Caleb, eliminating some hits, and not having him have to pick it up with his own feet.
I think this time last year, we didn't anticipate how much the offensive line and the chemistry that they had together was an advantage coming into the season. And in that sense, kind of in the opposite, I feel like that chemistry is now something that they need to work on, and that's what they self-reported like towards the end of camp as well. How do you expect that to go? I mean, obviously, as you talked about, fall camp is much more intense than spring camp. How do you get that chemistry quickly, if you will?
Besides the freshmen, that should have already been picked up. Mm-hmm. That is off season. That is doing stuff off the field. The fastest way that I got close to my guys when I was playing receivers, O-line, running backs, whatever it may be, was off-field activities.
Really? Okay.
And even if it's not off-field, but even if that's going and working out on your own with those guys, right? I'll say outside of practice, outside of meeting activities, being able to build that chemistry. Now, obviously, you're going to blood, sweat, and tears on the football field, on the practice field. We're all in it together. We're all pushing through together. We're all doing fall camp together, right? So we all build that same mindset and that trust, knowing that, hey, this sucks for me doing it, but the guy next to me is doing the same thing. So I've got to be able to push harder for him. But at the end of the day, where you build kind of that second, those really good football teams going from good to great, where you build that secondary trust, that next level kind of comfortability with each other, is doing, even if it's going bowling, going to the movies, going out to dinner with the O-line, with the offensive line, or with the skill position guys, Caleb taking them all out, going to Dodger Stadium and throwing out the first pitch. But that's how you build that chemistry for when fall camp starts. You're already comfortable with everybody throughout the summer, throughout the offseason, and hey, I'm in this with you, bro. We got the same thing going on. This rep's going to suck. This day's going to suck. This 2-a-day, this extra practice, this night practice, whatever it may be, is going to suck. But we've already built that connection. I know he's in it with me, and it makes it a little bit easier.
Interesting. So, personally knowing someone closer helps you with the technical side of things?
Absolutely.
How, though? I mean, I get it, but...
So, for example, for me, my number one receiver probably throughout my entire college career was Nelson Aguilar. We lived together.
Yeah.
I mean, we did everything together. It was my closest offensive lineman friend, my center, who I trusted the most, more than anybody, Max Turk. We lived together, right? Those were guys I trusted. And then obviously, that's not a knock on anybody else. That's just someone that I spent the most time with. I mean, I'd get out of class and Nelson would text me, when are you going to be home? I'll be home in 10. He'll be like, don't worry about it. I'm bringing your cleats and the football. I'll meet you at Howard Jones. And he would he knew my schedule. He knew where I was at all times. And then other guys started catching on to that. Then Nelson was a voice for me in the wide receiver room saying, hey, me and Cody are going to throw it this time. Make sure you're there. Not can you make it? It's make sure you're there. Now, if you had class or something, sure. But building that connection off the field, and even me going and doing stuff with Sua, living with Sua, get invited to go do stuff with the defensive guys. You know, that made the defense, hey, that's our QB1. That's our quarterback. Let's go out and get an interception for him. When you build that connection off, Antoine Woods, one of my closest friends still to this day. Love Antoine. We built that connection off the field as incoming freshmen, and then we got in games days. We didn't really obviously ever see each other during games. He was on the field when I'm on the sideline, and then vice versa. But we had that connection. You run off the field, a quick high five. Hey, Cody, go get us one. Hey, we're going to get you the ball back here. You build that chemistry off the field, so then when it comes time for war, being on the field, those tough game days, those tough practices, you already have a comfortability level with one another. And in my opinion, that's where you take those good teams to those great teams.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. That was me getting a little preachy there, but that's from experience. That's and obviously it's built on the field, but off the field chemistry, in my opinion, is just as important.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, also I asked you like 3 follow-ups about it,
Yeah.
so it makes sense. Any more thoughts about the O-line?
No, I mean it's. Let's go. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Dedich lead these boys. I know you're gonna be a great leader, and I'm excited to see whoever it may be, whoever the 4 are on either side of him. Let's all just build one, and guys are going to rotate as well, but let's all make sure we're one unit. Communication is so important at the offensive line, especially the center position. But yeah, I'm excited to watch, and it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a little musical chairs to start off, but I think by probably week 2 or 3 of fall camp towards the end, we'll kind of know who that starting 5 is going to be.
Alrighty. Any other thoughts about like offense as a whole before we get into other questions that I haven't asked yet?
No, I got to take a breath.
Yeah,
that
breathe,
was good.
Cody, breathe. Good job.
That was good. I had fun doing that. I love doing that, though. I love not only talking the roster, breaking down guys, because I would do the same when I was playing. Like I was saying earlier on, I would watch who does what well, who am I going to, how do I need to bring this guy along a little bit more? So getting to go back and do it made me feel like I was getting ready for fall camp a little bit. So I enjoy these episodes.
All right, well, let's jump into questions, or at least the ones that I didn't get to in the first portion of the pod. First one is from Jay, who said, CK, did you prefer to have a clear go-to receiver, or would you rather spread it around?
Yeah, I mean, Jay, I think it's important to have a wide receiver 1, but also you don't want to be the locked-in guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that drops back every time and looks at one receiver, it's not there, I take off and run, right? You got to be able to trust your other receivers. Now, how do you do that? Kind of what we just got done talking about, right? Building that connection off the field, transferring it to on the field workouts, getting some routes afterwards. Ideally, you want to have 4 or 5 number 1 receiver, go-to receivers, right? Kind of like this offense this year, a lot of guys that have potential to be that. But yeah, I mean, I had first year obviously was when I was starting my sophomore year. It was absolutely Marquise Lee. Nelson Aguilar was a freshman, so he started coming on, and then Marquise left. Then it became Nelson Aguilar, and then when Nelson left, Juju came in. Guys so it's kind of a rotational thing. But year in and year out, there is going to be a number 1 guy. But I think it is important to make sure you have a very strong, I don't want to say 2, 3, 4, but like a 1B, 1C, 1D. That way, when they take away that guy like last year, taking away Jordan Addison, we still had Mario Williams. We still had Michael Jackson coming in and playing well, Taj Washington, Brendan Rice. So, yeah, I mean, I think short answer is yes, have a number 1 guy is very important, but you've got to be able to have other guys that you can go to and trust as well when they take away that number 1 option.
Slightly related, Finding on MC said, being a quarterback yourself, do you believe that Caleb had a favorite receiver last season, or was he a true believer in the check down of the best open receiver with the best chance for completion and yards after the catch?
I think it was the latter. I think he absolutely, I mean, we went into the year thinking it was going to be Mario Williams. Obviously, Jordan Addison was reigning Blitnikoff Award winner, coming in, potential to be all everything that year. We thought, though, or personally I thought Mario Williams, just because they'd worked together before, was going to be the number 1 guy.
Yeah, we all did.
Then it ended up becoming Jordan Addison. Then Jordan gets hurt. Mario goes out. Then Taj Washington steps kind of into that number 1 role. And then later towards the end of the season, Brendan Rice becomes the number 1 guy. So I love the way Caleb plays. I don't think he locks in on one receiver. He picks one guy and sticks. I think he does a great job of getting through progression. If it's not there, he makes a couple guys miss, can improvise, and then finds an open receiver no matter who that is. So yeah, I think he does a great job of everyone on the field is an option at all times.
We had a question from Ricky who said, who is your top under-the-radar player for the season? And let me say, we did get also defensive questions in this batch of calling for questions. So if you ask a defense-specific question, we're going to push it to next week. So this question could include defense, but for the sake of the episode, let's say that this is your top under-the-radar offensive player for the season.
Gotcha. I'm going to go... That's tough. I mean, it's easy to pick a freshman. It's easy to pick a Zechariah Branch just because we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They are technically under the radar because they haven't played
really.
yet. Yeah, no. Yeah, when you're the number one recruit at wide receiver, it's tough to be under the radar. But yeah, I'm going to go Zechariah Branch. I think he is going to surprise a lot of people. Going off of the spring game alone, that might be an easy answer, a little bit of a cop-out one.
Yes, it is.
But you never know, right? There's so many guys that are 5-star, 4-stars that come in that don't live up to that hype, that don't live up to those expectations. And what we've seen from Zechariah already, he's above and beyond, the expectations having for him in his first spring. And now let's carry that into fall camp. I think he's going to make a lot bigger impact this year. I don't want to say than some people think, because that might obviously be something that a lot of people are banking on is, hey, he's number one player, he should come in and play. But you have such a strong depth at the receiver position, and I'm kind of getting repetitive from when we talked about it earlier. But, I mean, it's tough to really make a name for yourself when you've got Mario, Taj, Brendan, Zechariah, Dorian, Michael, Kyron, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane now thrown in there. You've really got to go above and beyond to be a standout guy. So I think Zechariah will be a guy right now, might be a little bit under the radar, but I think he's going to excel a ton this season.
I don't know why, but I want to say Elijah Page.
Okay.
For under
Look at you.
Isn't that kind of... And
this is a football coach pick right there. Going with an O-line for an under-the-radar standout player.
I guess. I'm also contradicting myself because I was like, it's really hard for a true freshman to do, and then here I am.
Well, I just picked true freshman too, so.
No, but I was talking about offensive linemen. I specifically said for offensive linemen,
well, it's hard
I go.
Yeah, for an offensive lineman to be a standout player regardless, but.
Fair.
I like that though, Keely. That was a football junkie answer right there.
I don't think you've ever been this proud of me.
That was awesome. Well,
before.
Normally you think under the radar, someone who's going to be under the radar, have a big year. You think skill position, quarterback, running back. You went with the freshman offensive lineman. I like it.
Look at me.
Look at that.
Football junkie.
Yeah,
Keely
it's a
Eure.
football junkie question or answer right there. I like it though. I agree. I think Elijah Page has every the intangibles are there for him to be a starter this year. It's just whether or not he can pick up the offense fast enough and beat out any of these other guys that started in the spring.
Curtis wanted to know, will USC rotate running backs this year? He believes, this is his opinion, he said, we ran Dye into the ground last year and could have used Jones much more, keep all 4 backs fresh, and change the look for defenses.
Yeah, I and obviously work for the school, so I wouldn't say run into the ground, but I do agree we leaned heavy on Travis Dye. He was the workhorse last year. And you see guys do that, right? I mean, I just watched a clip on Instagram of Le'Veon Bell back in the day, just some of him playing. I get these random clips of football because obviously that's all I ever do and talk about, and golf. But it was, when he's working, when your running back's going well, and it was kind of someone talking over it saying, when you've got an RB1 playing well, let's ride him until we can't. Let's keep giving him the football. Let's keep letting him produce. Le'Veon ended up going for like 200 plus that game, had a great game, but that does add up, right? If you do it too much and put too much, and I'm not saying that's why Travis got hurt. It absolutely was a freak accident what happened. It was super unfortunate. But yes, you want to be able to have a great rotation, especially at the running back position, because it's a physical position, right? You've got to first go after the defensive lineman when you get a carry. If those guys don't get you, then you got the linebackers coming full speed downhill trying to get you, and then you have a safety coming in. So you're taking hit after hit. And then if you're not in the pass concept, you're in there blocking these linebackers rushing. You're having to pick up a defensive end on a slide protection. So, yeah, I agree. I think we need to rotate running backs a little bit more this year. I think last year, too, with Lincoln Riley in his first year, was kind of figuring out how that rotation was going to go, what guys were going to step up and be running back 1, 2, 3, down the line. I think this year we've got a lot better depth, and I think we're going to see a lot of Austin Jones, Marshawn Lloyd, again, Ray Leak and Darwin getting thrown in there, and possibly the freshmen as well.
Daniel wanted to know, what's a position on the offense where you have depth concerns about?
I mean, I want to say, I mean, if we did this before fall camp, it was O-line. I think O-line would be a depth concern, but now we've got 4 new freshmen in. We've got Elijah Page, obviously, was here for the spring. Now we've got Pragnon coming in as well as a transfer. So it's tough to say. I know we did lose some guys that left transfer, and some other guys had some health issues that aren't here anymore, but it's hard really to pick a position group. I think we're pretty stacked. I think this offense of staff and Coach Riley, they did a great job attacking the transfer portal, bringing in guys to fill depth needs that we had maybe in the spring or going into the summer. So I'm excited. I think there's plenty of depth at every position. I really don't see any concerns in a position group right now that lacks depth on offense. That is, we'll get to defense later on, but offense right now, I don't really see any.
Now I know we talked about wide receiver in spring, like the depth is kind of not there. Do you feel like that's okay now? I know there's only like really one more.
Well,
1.5.
Yeah, but I was surprised that was an issue, right? Remember we were saying at practice, some of these guys, the ones or some of the guys
the ones were going a ton.
Yeah, had to go with the threes, maybe or the twos, or getting in there in the later reps. I don't think so now. When you get now in spring ball, yes, because you get ones, twos, and threes. It's tough to fill spots, especially when you don't have your fall and rollies there yet. But when it comes down to actual game reps rotation, yes, we have Mario 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 now. Guys, potential. I mean, obviously Jacoby's on the line of red shirt and playing or not. Makai as well has got to get healthy. But that's 7 or 8 guys right there that can rotate and play in an offense that at most you're going to have 4 wide receiver sets, and that's not even counting Deuce Robinson as well, who can be thrown as a wide receiver. So yeah, I don't think the depth issue. Now, yes, again, like I said, if you had to go 3 different units, it's tough to make it, fill every position. But now when you only have 1 unit on the field at a time during game week, no, I don't think the depth at receiver is any issue.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Chuck had an interesting question. He said, it's year 2 of Coach Lincoln Riley's offense. Would you expect Pac-12 coaches to have made adjustments? If so, what type of adjustments would you expect?
Yes, absolutely. They're going to be able to self-scout now, right? A lot of teams were having to watch,
other teams,
but not only like Pac-12 as you watch. It's better to watch film playing against your scheme and yourself than it is to watch. Now, if you're playing in week 10 last year or 9 or 8, whatever, maybe UCLA game, they've had 9, 10, 11 games to watch already, but you haven't seen what they're going to do against you. Now these teams have a year on film of playing against Coach Riley with their scheme. Obviously, some of these coaching staffs changed, but they're going to be able to go off that self-scout. Hey, what didn't work well? What worked well? How did we slow them down a little bit? Maybe a couple 3-and-outs here and there. Let's be more heavy on those concepts on defense, on those personnel groupings, those defensive of schemes. But at the end of the day, that's why I love Coach Riley so much, is I feel like no matter what defenses do or how they scheme, he is such an on-the-fly coach to where, he has his little call sheet, has his plays. He has 4 or 5 different plays probably for every single formation, every single defensive scheme you're going to get. And then he's also the type of coach that can make adjustments at halftime, can say, okay, cool, we didn't see them doing that. Now they've, their scheme-wise, they're going to play a lot of zone this game. Well, let's come out, let's get all our zone beaters, take the man beaters out, and bring in some stuff that maybe we did in spring that wasn't in the game plan and go on the fly. So, yes, they're going to be better off this year preparing against us, but I still think when you have Coach Riley, Cliff Kingsbury, Caleb Williams all in a quarterback room, it's going to be difficult to stop no matter what you do. It's
crazy because I don't know why. I keep forgetting that Cliff Kingsbury is still here.
Same. I just thought of that as I was talking right there. But yeah, so it's a 2-part answer. Yes, they're going to be better prepared this year because they're going to have film, but also it's going to be extremely difficult because as much as they have film on us, Coach Riley has film on them and what they did well against us and how to attack their defense or their weaknesses on defense.
Joseph wanted to know, will this year's offense be better than last year?
I mean, that's tough in what sense? I guess statistic-wise, it could be, absolutely, yes. I think it hurts a little bit with some of the offensive linemen we lost. Obviously, Andrew Voorhees, Brett Nealon. Yeah. Those are big losses for this offense. And I think you're only as good on offense as your offensive line. Mm-hmm. That's where it starts and ends with. But, we have Caleb Williams back. We've got some great wide receivers coming in. We've got guys that are returners, obviously, Jordan Addison and Travis Dyer both gone. Those were huge assets to this offense. But like I said, the depth-wise, we're just filling that role. Next guy stepping up, next man up. So, yeah, I think they could be better on offense this year, if not the same as last year, which, and I say the same, sounds bad. That's a great offense from last year. So I think it'll be about similar to that, if not a little bit better.
I feel like you alluded to this, but I feel like it really just depends on the offensive line.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Where they are at chemistry-wise, how they're – because I don't know if we really had a sense of where they're at right now in spring, let alone now in fall. So that, to me, is what I'm going to be watching, I think, the most on offense because it really is down to them. You can have the greatest skill players ever, but if you're not protecting and you're not giving Caleb Williams time in the pocket – what else?
Exactly. And that's the old saying. It's hard for a quarterback to throw the football on his back, right? If you don't have guys protecting you well, and that goes running backs as well. Running backs got to be huge in pass game, in pass protection. They've got to be huge getting out the checkdowns. Now, Caleb Williams is the number one quarterback at improvising, and it's a thing of beauty. It's artwork watching him. Yeah. Some of those slow-mo clips, I saw one against Notre Dame the other day, just moving around, guys missing, being able to create plays where you think, oh, he's sacked, it's over with, and he still gets out of it. Yes, to Houdini-type plays, but yeah, you don't want him to have to do that every game. I'd love for him to 1, 2, 3, hitch, ball, right? Get the ball out, guys getting open. If he has to improvise, he improvise. But no, I agree fully. You're only as good as your offensive line on offense.
Now, you alluded to this team earlier in the pod. Cameron said, what is your ceiling for this offense? Mine is 2019 LSU memorable.
Ooh, that's going to be tough. I'll tell you what, we've got some really good receivers. It's very hard to have a Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase on the same team. I think Caleb Williams can absolutely play at 2019 Joe Burrow level. In my opinion, I think he has every capability to do it. He's also got one of the best offensive mind in college football and Coach Wiley. And now you throw, like I said, Cliff Kingsbury in there as well. But I don't know. I don't want to compare them to anything. I know we got the question. That's a great question. That is, in my opinion, one of the all-time best offenses in the history of football, as well as a little 2005, 2004 USC too. Throw them in there as well. But yeah, little Leinart, Reggie Bush, Lindell White days, Dwayne Jarrett, those guys. But that's going to be tough. That was that LSU offense, man. That was so much fun to watch. They were so good.
Yeah.
It just seemed like every week they were getting better, and you thought they were done, like they'd reached their ceiling. And then they go out in the college football playoffs, and Burrow throws for like 6 touchdowns. Then they go out in the national championship. Okay, a very good football team they're playing against. They'd played Georgia. I think they played Clemson in the playoff game too, or whoever it may be, or vice versa. I don't remember who the final was against, but either way, they're playing number 1, 2, 3 ranked defenses in the country and making them look like they weren't very good. That's difficult to do as an offense. So, yeah, I think we absolutely have the capability of doing it. We just got to have some wide receivers step up and be a Justin Jefferson and be a Jamar Chase, but it'll be fun to watch. I don't think there's no reason they can't.
Eric said, do you think Deuce Robinson will get playing time immediately?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Really? Fallen Rolly?
Yeah, I think so. Short answer, yes. Long, he's just too good. And
it's fair.
Especially if you want to put him in, quote unquote, I know he's a receiver, but the tight end category a little bit, or use him as a stand-up tight end.
You have to.
You have to. Yeah, we don't have the depth at that position. Long answer is if he doesn't, then I think it'll be maybe a mental thing, having to get caught up to the speed, learning the offense, maybe use him a little bit here and there, or if he's not fully up to speed, instead of Coach Riley throwing him out there and knowing he's not fully ready, let's let him redshirt, let's let him learn a little bit. But, yeah, short answer, yes. Long answer, let me see how he does in fall camp, and then I'll give you a better assessment of what I think he'll do this year.
David said, what new player added to the offensive roster do you think will have the biggest impact? Zechariah Branch.
Yeah, Zechariah Branch. I would say Marshawn Lloyd, though, too, is up there.
That's fair.
Especially
That's
what he did
one.
in the spring. I think we're going to use – I know Austin Jones is the guy right now, but I think and not surprisingly, he's a great player, but I think Marshawn Lloyd is going to be used a lot more than maybe what people think this year. I think he's going to compete with Austin for that 1A, 1B, kind of 1-2 punch running back position. So, yeah, I would go with Marshawn Lloyd.
Moore wanted to know which of the revamped groups between offensive line and wide receiver could have a potentially more slow start. So between wide receiver and offensive line, who's going to have the slower start?
I'm going to say offensive line, just because first, we don't know who's going to be out there. Offensive line, again, is one of the most critical and important positions on a football field, and it is the most complicated with the communication. It's not just, hey, we've got D-Ditch, great. Amazing football mind. He understands the offense. He knows all the calls, but you've got to make sure guard tackle on the right, guard tackle on the left. Everybody is on the same page. Receiver, you can be one-on-one matchups. One guy can win. They win the play, right? If all 5 offensive linemen aren't working together on every single play, even just a little bit, right? 4 of the 5 are on the same page and one guy misses the call or misses his block, play's over. Right now we have Caleb Williams, again, who can improvise and make guys miss and kind of make up for some of that. But, yeah, I think offensive line is, and I don't want to say slow start and put that on them, but I think it's going to take a little bit of time to build that chemistry through fall camp and then in getting the live reps in the season.
Manny wanted to know, does Lincoln Riley put more emphasis on game management and clock control this year until the defense can prove itself?
That is a great question.
I don't think you start out like that.
Yeah, I don't think you
right?
do either. No, and I don't think you should ever play with that mindset, but I think, I'll say it in this way, I don't think Coach Riley will ever preach that, saying, hey, Caleb, hey, let's slow it down a little bit. That's not his offensive style. Now, in the back of his mind, he may understand, hey, let's extend the play clock a little bit here.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it's exactly. Let's slow down, getting the play call in a little bit. Let's take, instead of, getting up there, hurry up, going 5-10 seconds between plays, let's take 15 to 20. Let's give our defense a break. Let's still score, And it's not saying be conservative. It's just saying in between plays, we can take a little bit more time, take some time off the clock, especially if our defense isn't performing at what we want them to be in whatever particular game we're talking about. Let's take a little bit more time on offense, maybe get the run game a little bit more involved. But I don't think you change your play style in that sense. I think that happens in between plays and also kind of extending, like I said, the play clock a little bit.
I know that's something that Riley tried to do at Stanford last season. He was like, okay, I could tell that he saw it as an opportunity to mess with the clock a little bit.
Yeah.
But it got USC out of its rhythm a little bit.
That's exactly right.
As a player, how do you navigate that?
And that's the perfect word. That's what I was going to say, rhythm. You don't want, when you, especially with Caleb Williams and the offense is firing, say you go 3 straight possessions, 3 touchdowns, or a second half. We've gone 2 possessions in a row, 2 touchdowns. We've got a 2-touchdown lead now. Why slow it down, right? What makes you want to get out of that rhythm and start changing up the scheme that you've had that's been working so well? And yes, the thought is maybe to protect the defense a little bit, but it's going to be tough to beat if we can just put up 60 every game, right? Well, and this isn't a shot at the defense. I'm just joking. But even if our defense isn't playing well, if we can put up 60, 70 points in a game, make them come out and beat us, right? Let's use what we're best at right now, and that's one of the best offenses in college football. Let's run the score up. Not saying, if it's a blowout, but let's run the score up if it's a somewhat close game and force their offense to try to play catch up. Force them to come out, even if our defense isn't playing as well as we want them to. Let's use to our advantage what we have is one of the best offenses in the country and put up a lot of points and make them try to keep up.
Yeah, and now in the age of CFP, the style points also help you.
It does. And yeah, beating a team by 21 looks a lot better than beating them by 4.
Yeah.
And obviously, but nowadays, it's not a win as a win. You got to win convincingly to really get the voters paying attention, knowing, okay, they beat this team like they should by 21 instead of, no offense to these other teams, but, beating Cal by 6 or beating Arizona by 4 and having it be a close game. You want those convincing wins.
Yeah. In the similar range, Ramos said, how many points per game do you think this offense will average this year?
I mean, I would love to say in the 50s. I know that would be extremely difficult. But I think the 50s is absolutely doable. But that goes back to the same thing is how many games of these are going to be, we're up 48-7 and it's garbage time. We're just running the clock out, right?
Sure.
That plays a factor. But in competitive games, I would love to say upper 40s, low 50s, I think is absolutely a possibility.
For reference, USC averaged 41.4 points per game last season.
That's why I'm saying I don't think 50 is impossible. I absolutely think it's doable.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think 50. But it just, again, it depends on if we're beating a team 35-0 at halftime, I doubt we're going to, Caleb and the starters aren't going to play too much into the third quarter. That'll factor into points per game at the end of the year. Now, if it's a close game, hopefully it's not. Hopefully we're beating everybody 35-0 at halftime. But some of those closer games, that's when we could see the 50, 60-point games.
Now, Sam always has the...
Oh, let's go. I'm ready.
Good questions.
I didn't peek at his this week either. Did we get a...
It's not an off-topic one. It's one that will require some predictions.
Okay.
It's prediction time.
I'm ready.
So I'll ask you one by one. Who ends the season with the most rushing yards?
I'm going to go Austin Jones.
I'm going to go Marshawn Lloyd.
Okay. I think I agree. I think it's 50-50. I think it's a toss-up.
Okay. Rushing touchdowns?
I'm going to stick with Austin Jones again.
Caleb Williams?
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know.
It could.
That was a wild card. I'll go Marshawn Lloyd again. And then who has the most receiving yards and receiving touchdowns?
I'm going to go with who I'm ready to see break out this year. I'm going to go Mario Williams for both. I think reception yards and touchdowns. I'm just ready. I know he can do it. I know he's capable of doing it. All the intangibles are there. It's just now him going out performing, staying healthy. Obviously, is a big factor, but I'm going Mario Williams is going to be our number one guy this year in both yards. I'm going to say all 3: reception, yards, and touchdowns. I'm going Mario Williams.
Okay, I'm trying to see who.
And that's no knock on anybody else. I think it absolutely has potential to be anybody else. Dorian Singer was one of the best in Pac-12 last year, so he could definitely take that role. But my prediction, who I'm investing in right now, is Mario Williams. I hope he goes out and is one of the best receivers in the country.
I'm going to say Brendan Rice for receiving yards.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Taj Washington for touchdowns.
I'm a big fan of Taj. I like that.
Me too.
Brendan too. He played well last year at the end.
And I just feel like Taj has been taking positive steps forward each season.
We just Brendan. I just want him to keep his confidence up. I don't want.
Yeah.
I want that like we saw from Coach Riley last year, talking about practices were unbelievable.
Yeah.
In the games, he just got a little of that performance anxiety, got a little bit slowed down. I want to see his confidence through. I want him out there chirping, talking trash, ready to go. Catching over the DBs, making a little. Don't get in trouble. Don't get a 15-yarder. But keep that confidence up like we saw in the Tulane game. That was awesome to see. So, yeah, it'll be good. So I'm going Mario for both.
Okay, interesting. Sam, I know you're going to hold us to that, so just file that one away.
Oh, he's already writing them down.
Oh, yeah. No, we appreciate it. Shavira had a question that involved Blair no longer being an intern. Blair is still very much an intern. She's a youngin'. She was a sophomore last year. She will be a junior this year. So still around the pod, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Someone who's not an intern anymore, sadly, is Trinity, who left us a question saying, who's taking over recording scrums for fall camp? And then she said, miss you guys. Trinity, we miss you.
Yeah, shout out Trinity.
I don't know yet, honestly. I got to get my interns figured out. But so there's usually, if you watch the USC Athletic intern interviews after practice, they're usually filmed by interns. So that's a little behind the scenes. So we'll have a new head woman in charge, or head intern in charge, I should say. I don't know who my final intern roster is right now. But yes, there you go.
Okay.
And then final one. And this is a one that makes sense. I forgot to do this because I'm technically like the blocked patroller, since you can't see who's
no. Did we get another block question?
No, you just forgot to unblock Rusty.
Okay.
So he said, Cody, are you forgetting something?
I'm doing it live right now.
Fight on Rusty.
Give me the username. This is
Fight
happening
on Rusty.
live. Fight on Rusty.
You get to hear it live.
Is it just Fight on Rusty?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a dog.
Block.
That's the Abby.
Unblock. Boom. Proof.
Boom.
I don't know if the videos are coming out, but if you see them, Fight on Rusty is unblocked.
Rusty, you are free.
Rusty, I apologize. I did forget. I forgot about that when we left, but
yeah,
you are unblocked officially. It just happened live.
Hey, the squeaky wheel gets greased. So well done, Rusty.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Jorge is a great example. You got to stay persistent, stay consistent, and you're going to win.
Exactly. Also, I thought it was hilarious. He posted Rusty when he figured out that he was no longer going to be blocked. He was like, our nation's great nightmare is over. So he really was appreciative. So finally it actually happened. So there you go, Rusty.
Happened live.
There you go. Well, that's all I have for questions.
Okay.
We got to go into the emoji giveaway. I'm going to pull up random.org.
Before, we do want to address, though.
What are we addressing?
Daniel. Remember Daniel asked, and we just talked about it before we started recording, can you win twice?
Yes. Okay.
So Keely had a great idea. So right now, no. But as soon as season starts, we don't want to deter people from doing the emojis, though, because we do love seeing them. We like everybody listening.
We love it feels nice to be like, oh, you heard the episode.
Yeah, but we're going to do, and two options. This is me on the fly, too, here. Keely said we can, as soon as season starts, week 1, we'll reset everybody so you have another chance to win. But we could also do, if someone's already won before, maybe give them they can pick a topic for the pod that week or something on the outside or
okay.
That way, because I don't want to take away from someone else winning as well that hasn't won yet.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do, if you're a second-time winner, now you get to pick a 10-minute topic that we talk about.
A 10-minute topic?
5 minutes. Well, for us, it'll turn into 45.
I know.
But
that's why I was saying that's going to be way too
This is me just throwing it out there, but short answer, Daniel, yes. If you win twice, we will have something else you can win. If it's not, again, if we don't reset it, we'll have another option for you if you do win twice. So that you can still be involved and still do the tweets and still know that, hey, I'm not just doing this for nothing.
Yeah, and another reason why I would want to reset it is because last season, if you listened, we were able to give away some tickets as giveaways.
Yeah,
of course, we want everyone to have an equal opportunity.
If we do tickets, it's everybody. Yeah. If we do tickets, everybody's in.
Yeah.
We won't. Yeah, past winners doesn't matter.
Definitely not. Alrighty, Cody.
Okay, yeah.
A number,
have
please.
1 through 30. I just did them before.
30?
Yes, you give me the number.
20.
20 is Kevin Peterson.
Okay.
I've got to double check. I don't think Kevin's won before. Let me double check. I've got my messages right here. No, he is not. So Kevin Peterson, username is @KevPetersonPFC. Congratulations to Kevin. I know he's commented a lot. He's tweeted a lot, done the emojis a lot, and he has not won before. So Kevin Peterson, you are this week's emoji winner. And just a reminder again, you can choose between a USC hat, a USC sweatshirt, long sleeve shirt, or a short sleeve t-shirt. And again, either I can sign it, Keely can sign it, we both can sign it, or if you don't want a signature and you just want to wear it around without our ugly signatures on it, you're more than... We have had people, though, saying, hey, sign it. I'm still repping it proud. So
no
possibilities
pressure,
are endless.
Thank you.
Whatever you want, completely up to you. And then again, Kevin, I will let this episode drop. As soon as it drops and you hear it, you'll probably message me first, or I'll wait until you get a chance to hear it, so it's a surprise. And then again, for our first-time listeners, or just a reminder, if you do want a chance to be in the emoji giveaway, you've got to listen to the episode, obviously. We will announce emoji like we're about to do shortly towards the end of it, or middle or beginning, so don't skip ahead. But to be entered in the contest, you've got to reply with an emoji on whatever platform you follow us on. So if you follow us on Twitter, you can reply on Twitter with the emojis, but you got to be able to, or you got to make sure you're following myself, Keely, and the Victory Pod. And then if you do it on Instagram, obviously you've got to follow those three as well. And then we pick a winner each week, and you get a giveaway. And yeah, it's been
Bada bing, bada boom.
Probably one of the more funner. One of the more fun parts of this episode. We love doing the emoji giveaway. I just love whenever you drop the episode, we start seeing the emojis.
Yeah.
Who's listening first, how long it takes someone to listen. Then we see everybody joining in and responding. So again, congratulations to Kevin, and we will have a new giveaway next week as well.
Speaking of, do you want to drop the emojis?
Yeah.
How about we half and half it? I come up with one and you come up with the other.
I was going to say you because you made me last week, but
I did not make you.
I know.
You said you wanted to do it.
You're right.
Slander.
Right. I'm pulling up the emoji list.
Okay, well,
do you already have yours?
I have mine solely because it's a shout out to my dad. It's his birthday.
Oh, yeah.
On Monday.
Happy birthday.
So birthday cake will be one of the emojis.
Okay. Birthday cake, and then I'm going to do, let's go in the sports area. Birthday cake.
I'll stall for you while you look at emojis. He's a loyal listener. Always have been, so I just wanted to give a little shout out to him.
I would hope so. I would hope so he listens. But yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, he's not like your family who he know. I put
why we don't ever get any questions. You don't let him.
I put strict boundaries from the moment I started that my parents could not comment or anything. So
come on,
one time,
not even for his birthday.
Okay, Dad, if you want to ask a question for next week's episode, you can do that.
Come on, we
Trojan Dad.
My mom and dad. Yeah, my mom and dad
every
are
week.
involved.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a birthday cake. I'm going to go with, let's go in the sports area. I'm going to go with let's go a tennis ball.
No way. I was thinking that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had all the sports emojis up right here. I was going to do like a golf hole or a frisbee, but I don't know why the tennis ball popped. So I'm going tennis ball. So birthday cake and a tennis ball.
There you go.
To enter for next week's giveaway. And again, you got to be following on whatever platform you reply on. And we will pick a winner next week on random.org.
There you go. Alrighty, Cody. It's time for me to toss it to you.
Is it my turn?
It is time for Cody's biased portion of the podcast.
The best portion of the podcast.
There is the bias.
In my opinion. Yeah, there's the bias.
It's the 2-minute, 4-minute, 10-minute drill. But I will say off season, you've been pretty concise with your Instagram questions.
I've gotten better. Well, the best part is, too, with these episodes, we talk a lot about it throughout. So I've learned, okay, you've already answered that. Just give a quick summary instead of re-answering it all over again.
I'm so proud of you.
Okay. All right. So starting out, you got my timer not on because you never time me anymore.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Go.
And then my defense, though, I do have some screenshots from Twitter messages, questions, and Instagram, so I got to switch over. But from the Instagram box, first one is from GusGus10, tight end, who starts, who's healthy, and where does Deuce play at? Again, I think Lake will be the starting tight end. Deuce, if he does play tight end, will rotate in that position with Lake, but would most likely see him playing a wide receiver position. Or if you want to put quote-unquote tight end, we're not going to see his hand in the ground. I don't think we'll see him in a 3-point stance getting any run or pass blocking. I think he'll be used split out wide and be a mismatch nightmare. So, yeah, I think it'll be tight end will start at his Lake, and then Deuce will absolutely play at both tight end and receiver. Next one is from Ray35R. Does Makai Lemon have a chance to break the lineup? Yes. Short answer, yes. Yeah. I absolutely think he has a chance. Got to get healthy. Got to get up to speed. Obviously, Zechariah stayed healthy, had some good plays this year as a rookie in spring ball. I think Makai has a little bit more of a mountain to climb to break that starting rotational side of with the wide receivers. But, yeah, absolutely. I mean, his playmaking ability alone gives him a chance. And I think if he picks this offense up fast enough, he can absolutely make an impact this year. Next one is from RBlazer13. I'm a high school football coach. I would love for you to come and work with my team. Little Kessler QB shout out there.
Wow, that's not a
Our
question.
Blazer, I'll be in touch. Yeah, I'll be in touch with you. The next one is from Abisogni. Abisogni.
Okay.
Abisogny. I'm going to say Abisogny. Okay. Anyways, and if I butcher these, disclaimer, I apologize. Sometimes it's tough to read usernames. This one says, what college defense would you most want to play against now and why?
Ooh.
I mean, the competitive side of me, the first one that pops into mind is Georgia. I mean, year in and year out. I would love to see this offense that we have right now get a chance to play against Georgia too. What better opportunity? Probably, in my opinion, going to be the best offense in the country with USC this year against one of, if not the best defenses in college football in Georgia. So, yeah, I would say Georgia would be a great test just to see where you're at, see how you compete against the best of the best.
Yeah.
A little side there. The next one is, you were like, we'll see.
Yeah.
It would be a tough challenge, though, but I think we've got the offense to do it. And would love to see that happen this year when we still have Caleb.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the next one's from SparkyLicious8. With the departure of Addison at wide receiver, who will be Caleb's go-to guys? Again, I think the three starting out going to be Taj, Brendan, and Mario. And then we've got a lot of chance guys rotating, Dorian Singer, Zechariah as well, Michael Jackson, Kyron. I mean, all these guys have a chance to break up that starting role, but day one starting today would be those three, Taj, Brendan, and Mario. The next one is from Melissa Bubbles. She said, how's your mom? I miss her. And they said, serious question, when's the next game so I can come out and support? The first game is August 24th. I looked it up before I came down here too, I think. I'm going to say August 24th while Keely looks it up. If it's wrong, it's August 26th. Those are the two dates.
Are you talking about USC football?
Yeah, USC's first game.
It's definitely not the 24th.
Are you sure?
Oh, it's the 26th.
The 26th. Okay, 26th. One of the two.
Cut that out. That's horrible.
Why?
That I don't know that.
It's week 0, though. Normally, they don't start until September.
I think it just sounded too early. Like, part of me was like, okay, maybe it's like
it does.
August 30th, but August 26th is early.
We're leaving that in.
Okay, fine.
August 26th. So I was right, but that shows that I was right. So, Alyssa, if you want to come to the first game, it'll be at the Coliseum against San Jose State. Hopefully, it's a packed crowd. I know it's a week 0 game, so it may not be yet, but let's start the season off right. The next one is from Dowdo Simon says, who will be QB2? Short answer, in my opinion right now, I think we both agree Miller Moss has the upper hand. Not saying that Malachi cannot come in and compete and really push Miller for that number 2 spot. But if they were to play a game today, I would say Miller Moss absolutely has the advantage, been here longer, upperclassman. And Malachi's still coming off that injury from last spring and still got a lot to learn with this offense. The next one is from Tim Martinez 11. He said, when are we golfing? Very soon, bro. We'll golf soon. The next one is from That Daddy Manny. Who are your starting wide receivers? Follow up again. Taj, Brendan, Mario. As of today, still got a lot of other guys that can come in there and compete. And then the last one, not the last one before I get to the screenshots, from Trojan Mama 6. She said, do you think the fans will cheer or boo for Kiffin and Helton when they come back to the Coliseum? We're
spicy.
Yeah, a little here question there. That's 2 years away, but I think it'll be mixed of both. I think.
Knowing sports fans, I think it's going to be mixed.
Rightfully so. And they're the away team. It's not like they're coming back for an honorary halftime.
Sure, yeah.
How's it going? Good to see you. They're coming back as the away team if they're still there too. We have no idea if they'll still be at Ole Miss and Georgia Southern, respectively, respectively. Respectively. You corrected me on that before. But yeah, I think it'll be a little bit of both. I don't know how many of the cheers we'll hear, but Kiffin did have some good years here. We played well 2012. Helton with the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, obviously there were some good things done, but the departures were not the best. So we'll see. I think mixed emotions. And then going to the Twitter questions that I screenshotted or the direct messages. This is from Ed. Hey, Cody, I have a question for the pod. Do you think they should be a more run-heavy team towards the end of the season, especially if the defense isn't playing all that great? I know we shouldn't take the ball out of Caleb's hands, but in order to win those games, would it be smart to pound the rock and chew some clock for the W? Kind of touching on that again. Yes, but you don't want to lose the rhythm, especially not saying anything against the defense. I think they're going to perform well, but if the defense is struggling that game and it is a quote-unquote shootout, I don't think we take the ball out of Caleb's hands. I think we try to put up as many points as possible and force the opposing offense to keep up. But I would love to see if we've got a 2-touchdown lead, 3-touchdown lead, to get more comfortable using the run game, allowing the depth we have at running back to finish the game off, run the clock out, and keep Caleb protected. The next one is from T. Alexander. So he asked me this after we had recorded, and I forgot to go back to it. He said, Cody, in April, I sent you a question, but it was after you had recorded the podcast. Maybe you'll remember. What's an example of what the center says when barking out signals to his O-line? And what's some examples of a play call you'd call in the huddle or at the line?
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, so this will be a good one. Okay, so offensive line calls, center makes every call. Obviously, guard and tackle will have some input, but at the end of the day, whatever the center says goes, right? But the center cannot make a call without the quarterback knowing the call is being made, especially away games, right? So an example, let's just go pass protection for all of this. It would be, well, I'll do a little run too, but pass protection, you have your right and left calls, right? So it's Ringo, Lucky. There'll be something like that, Rip and Liz, right? Roger, Larry, stuff like that, knowing, hey, we're Roger 54. We're working to the right to number 54. Larry 55. We're working left to 55. That's the unit. Everybody uses different terms, but those are some that I've used before.
Okay.
But everybody uses the universal R and L words. I did have some teams that would use, I think Sark did it a lot, was team name would be right once people started picking up on that, or defenses. So it would be like Bears, Falcons, Chargers would be right, and then Los Angeles, Atlanta, stuff like that would be left. So the city name would be the left. We would mix up stuff like that if teams were picking up. And then run game going against the defense is normally ABC. So A block would be center guard. B block, so it would be A 52, B 51. B would be guard tackle combined, and then C would be tackle tight end. So quick little rundown there for my football junkies that like hearing that stuff. And then example of a play call would be, let's just go. So first it would be either gun or not. So if you don't call it gun, then it's under center. But normally with Lincoln's offense, it's going to be gun. So this is not their play call, by the way. Disclaimer.
Yeah,
this is just stuff. I don't even know what it would be. But an example would be, so gun would be first. Then you would say formation. So let's go gun trips. Gun trips right, 3-by-1 formation. Then the strength. Gun trips right. Then you tell the back. Far, which means he's away. He would be on the left, away from the right formation. Or you say near, which would be he's on the right, near to the strength formation. So gun trips right, far. Are you picking this up?
I am. It's just like, how do you do this when everyone's screaming at you on the field?
Well,
I get it.
So the huddle,
yes.
It's okay. So we're going gun trips right, far. Then we'll go pass play. The next thing is protection. So a lot of teams we would use numbers. So it'd be 68, 57, 50, 51, 70, 71, 72, 73, or there's jet protection, stuff like that. 2, 3 jet. Confusing. He asked, so I'm getting a little explainative. But so then you would go protection, right? So it'd be gun trips right, far. Let's say 2 jet, right? So 2 jet protection. Jet protection is normally the lines 4 down to either the Sam or the Will. The back has the mic, and you're hot off the opposite. So let's say the line's going 4 down to the Sam linebacker, to the strength, right? Because the running back's in far. He's away. So we got Keely's her eyes. I wish we could see this right now.
It's like the meme of when all the numbers are passing.
I'm gonna quiz you on this at the end.
Oh my god!
But so we got gun trips right, far, 2 jet, and then that would be protection wise, right? So that's where the center is involved. Hey, Mike is 54. Now the line is the 4 down lineman to the Sam, and the running back has the mic. Caleb knows that he's hot off the Will linebacker. That's which way the protection's going. Obviously, everyone uses something different, but to change that, that's when Caleb can walk up and say, hey, the Sam's not coming. Let's not send our offensive line out to the Sam. I think the Mike and the Will are coming, or they're rotating the Will and the safety. Something's coming from my hot side. Caleb can walk up and say, hey, easy, Justin. Let's go Lucky to 56, to the Will. So now that puts the line 4 down to the Will, and the back moves to the safety blitzing, or you can bring it to the Mike, whatever. So you can readjust that way mid-play. Obviously, that takes a lot of film study. That's why the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's were so good, because they knew exactly what was happening at all times and could change protection. But Justin cannot change protection without Caleb giving the okay, or letting Caleb know, hey, I'm going Ringo here, because Caleb needs to know who's free if they do pressure. And then the end of the play would be the play call for me, or the routes and all that. So it would be gun, trips right, far, 2 jet, Z Cali, which is a curl arrow, Cali CA. A lot of those have the routes, Cali curl, A, arrow, which is like a curl flat. We call it an arrow. And then you would tag backside, X post or X dig or X stop, whatever you want to call it, X comeback. So it'd be gun, trips right, far, 2 jet, Z Cali, X comeback on 1. Ready? Boom. We break.
God.
We walk up. This is all happening in like 10, 15. I'm Alexander, I'm glad you brought this back up, because I love this stuff. If you don't like this, skip ahead. I'm getting into playing Dave mode.
We'll see you next week.
So then that's when we walk up. Okay, Mike's 54. O-line's going to the Sam, who's 52. Oh, wait, the Will's coming. Caleb knows he's hot. I'm going to go, hey, walk up, Justin, easy. Let's go Lucky 50, whatever, Lucky 50. Change protection that way. The running back now knows routes are still on. Boom, ball snapped. And then, by the way, when you get to high-level football, everything you just saw before the snap is probably not what it's going to be post-snap. So then everything's different. You got to adjust on the fly. So, and that was the last question. Oh, wait, no, I had one more.
Wow. Okay.
But
so I'm not an auditory learner. Like, I have to see it to like fully understand it.
When we get the videos going full go, we're doing another practice run with them right now. But let's get a little whiteboard in here. I'll draw some stuff. We get some breakdowns.
Please.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, I know that's a dumb commentary, but how long does it take you to become like fluent in that?
Well, that's why I've been saying all along is most important for these freshmen is learn the playbook. Yeah. It is so hard because not only that, now that's just the play call alone, right? I've had play calls where it's gun, trips right, far, Z left, 52 Sam, and then Z Cali, X comeback, alert, 76 Mike, blah blah blah, 42, whatever, all these different things, or alert or run, alert, 26 power. Like and then you have to go up and say one high, we're throwing it. If they go too high, that's a good box to run the ball. So like there is so much that goes into playing the quarterback position. And I'm just talking faster. This isn't, exactly. I could get my old playbooks and go over exactly what we did. But there is so much that goes into. And now college football nowadays, though, is one signal will mean that. So you don't see Caleb in the huddle calling gun, trips right far.
No huddle, yeah.
2 jet, Z Cali X comeback, alert 26 power on one, whatever, alert 14 zone on one. He gets up there and they go signal 3 to the right or whatever it may be, or whatever your trip signal is, gun, trips. And then the wide receiver coach will signal Cali X comeback. And the running back or the lineman who they're looking at as the lineman coach, whoever it may be, they're signaling all this. So it all means that. But when you get to the NFL, that's why you have the headset in your helmet, and you only get like once the 15-second on the play clock goes off, they cut your headset off. So you've got to hear the play first. But what I did, and that's why preparation is so key to make that easier, is you don't take every single play into a game plan. By the time, like I would know by the time that Riley was at, or if he said gun, trips right, far, 2 jet, I'm like, okay, cool. Our formation, we ran that out a lot this week, has been Z Cali X comeback. I could finish the play call for him. Or there's some unique plays, gun, trips right, Z left. Okay, I know where this is going now. I've studied the playbook, the game plan enough that I'm comfortable with every play. But yeah, that was time. That was a long.
I thought you had one more.
I do have one more. Yeah, okay. My dad asked one.
Trojan dad
asked one. But that was kind of a short example. I know that seemed like a long example. That was a one-play example of how it works.
That's crazy.
And then obviously Caleb and then you have Lincoln's whistle where he can whistle and change it or call, hey, change the play if he sees what he likes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but last one from Trojan Dad said, what is the difference in offensive plays from year to year? Meaning, do head coaches change the offense from year to year? I don't think they're going to change the kind of the meat and potatoes of the offense, what they're based around, the air raid offense, Coach Riley's go-to plays, the counter run game, a lot of the play action, the stuff he uses off of it. But I think the formations, the personnel groupings, that will all change. Now, you may come up with some stuff week in and week out. Hey, this is a heavy cover 4 team. Let's put in some cover 4 beaters and take out some of the one high beaters that we use. That'll change in that aspect. But you're really like the identity of your offense will never change too much. You just may add little tweaks and stuff here and there. But so with that being said, I am done with my 2-minute drill time. Am I at 2 minutes?
You were just under 15 minutes.
Okay, perfect. That was pretty good, though.
Good nonetheless. Well, you had a little detour, but it was a fascinating detour.
I love that, though. I love that. T. Alexander, love those questions.
Yeah,
I love when I get to be a little my football side of thing. And some fans listening right now might be like, let me skip all this. Yeah, this means nothing to me. And some may like, hey, here's a little extra of what the play call is like on game day.
Yeah.
Here's what the reads are. Here's how Justin and Caleb are communicating, knowing that Caleb can trump all of Justin calls, but Justin makes the final say just as long as Caleb is on the same page. And then, boom, the ball snapped, and it looks way different than when it started. So there's a lot of factors that go into being a successful offense.
It's fascinating. Yeah. It's the layers to the onion are just never ending, it seems like.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for our offensive preview. We'll be back for the defensive preview. Cody, you and I have some weird schedules next week, so I'm just putting a preface out there. We're going to try and make sure we get an episode out next week, but it might be a weekend release or something like that, so just stay tuned for that, but hopefully we'll get one in the books.
Yeah, and with that being said, I forgot my wrap up.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Go for it, Cody.
You're about to sign us off, but no, that had a blast. And again, what Keely's saying too is I promise this podcast is very important to us. I know this is Keely's baby. I've been fortunate enough to be brought along. We have so much fun doing it. I have been doing a lot of quarterback coaching network and stuff. So it's been awesome. I've loved it. But as obviously throughout the rest of fall camp building up, we'll try to be more consistent. But then as soon as season starts, you're going to get one every week, no matter what.
Yeah.
Doing prep, getting ready for the games. Dion hopefully will be back as well, get some post-game stuff. But thank you. Love you guys. Had a blast. This was a great episode. Fight on, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, you're having the problem of success. Your quarterback camp is too successful.
It is, yeah. It's taken off a little bit, but it's been fun. I have a blast. I love getting to do it. I get the best of both worlds. I get the podcast, talk about football, be involved with USC football, and I get to coach some young guys, bring them along, and help them learn to play the quarterback position. So I'm very happy.
Perfect. Alrighty, that's gonna wrap it up. We'll be back with a defensive preview. That's Cody. I'm Keely. We'll see y'all next time.